Good morning. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is set to ignite a day of Labour anarchy.
Well, there's reports he's set to resign from Sir Keir Starmer's government in just a matter of hours and launch his own leadership challenge. But, as the Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch put it, shouldn't he just be getting on with his job?
But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. We all know.
Chaos. Will it happen?
We could be heading towards our 6th Prime Minister in just 7 years if the Health Secretary makes his move. But the Prime Minister says he's going nowhere.
Well, Streeting, not the only one eyeing up number 10. Andy Burnham and even Ed Miliband could throw their hats in the ring after the Prime Minister failed to convince backbenchers that he's the right man for the job.
Because whilst immigration is down, we need to do more. Whilst violent crime is down, it needs to be lower. Whilst NHS waiting lists are down, we must go further.
Well, Labour is on the brink of civil war and Britain is potentially facing its 5th Prime Minister in just 5 years.
Good morning. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today. The showers could be quite heavy. They bring a risk of hail and thunder. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 6 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, our top story this morning, and the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, we expect will resign at some point today and launch a bid to oust the Prime Minister.
Well, the move could spark a leadership contest if Wes Streeting successfully scrambles together 81 Labour MPs to back him.
Well, it follows that gruelling, well, we think it was a gruelling 16-minute face-off between Wes Streeting and Sir Keir Starmer yesterday morning, just hours before the King's speech.
Well, MPs met in the Commons soon after, where Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch didn't hold back the punches.
Scrapping NHS England, something the Prime Minister announced 14 months ago. But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Even worse, Mr. Speaker, is what isn't in the gracious speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. We all know. Even worse, Mr. Speaker.
Well, meanwhile, the Prime Minister used the opportunity to make light of the situation.
Let me also thank the Leader of the Opposition for the usual warm and generous nature of her contribution. In difficult days, her input is always a ray of sunshine. But we do have one thing in common. Our parties both had tough results in the local elections last week. The difference is she hasn't noticed.
Well, let's just bring you some breaking news that we're getting in regard to Angela Rayner. We should say this is being reported by The Guardian this morning, but they're saying that Angela Rayner has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs. And that, I mean, she supposedly owed £40,000. Apparently, she has settled that £40,000 in unpaid stamp duty. And this decision that she didn't do any of this deliberately means it has then cleared the way for her should she want to throw her hat into the ring to try to become our next Prime Minister. And
she may very well do, because in the interview that follows with The Guardian, she indicates that she may run in the event of a contest. She says she wants to play her part and that she understands why Labour MPs were so upset following last week's election crushing. She says that Sir Keir Starmer should reflect on stepping aside. So that's quite insightful, isn't it, as well?
Well, there's a lot to go through. I mean, this is going to be a big day today. There's no doubt about about it. Should we go to Downing Street and our chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster? Morning, Catherine. I mean, there is everything to play for today.
Yes, there is, but this is a government that got elected promising to stop the chaos, not to have the infighting, not to be swapping prime ministers like the Tories did. Yet it looks ever more likely that we are heading towards our sixth prime minister in just 7 years, because we are expecting the health secretary, Wes Streeting, to make his move today. Allies are saying that he is going to resign as health secretary and mount a direct challenge to the prime minister. And that he has the numbers, although number 10 are still not sure that he does. And given that allies were ringing round people known to be pretty loyal towards the Prime Minister last night, and also saying apparently to people, well, vote for Wes and then you can transfer your vote. Well, you can't transfer your vote unless somebody withdraws. It's not entirely clear, but that seems that is likely to happen probably this morning. Wes Streeting, when the NHS England figures come out at about 9:30, normally does a pool interview with broadcasters. I know this because I've done a few of them. My understanding is that that is not happening, so all eyes on Wes Streeting. The Prime Minister going into overdrive with his supporters yesterday, talking to MPs, talking to ministers, saying this would plunge the country into chaos. There would be months of paralysis where the government is mired in a leadership contest, distracting from doing the job that they were elected to do, to make people's lives better. Now we've had the added complication that Angela Rayner, who stood down as Deputy Prime Minister last autumn because it emerged that she hadn't paid £40,000 in stamp duty on a flat in Hove, has finally been cleared by the HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness. She has settled that £40,000 bill. She is saying that she is not going to make the first move against the Prime Minister, but she's not ruling anything out. And then the other person who would dearly love to be Prime Minister, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. We keep hearing he's got a seat lined up and it never seems to materialise. Reports that an MP in Greater Manchester is preparing to stand down, though he was not giving anything away yesterday. Could Andy Burnham make a comeback? There's a lot of questions over that. It would depend on the NEC, on the timetable. Would they allow him to stand? Even if they did, he would face a very strong challenge by the Greens, who won in Gorton and Denton. There's no way of knowing if he would even get it. But what we are heading towards is more chaos, and we are now in a full-blown Labour civil war.
If the rumours are to be believed and Wes Streeting resigns today and launches his leadership challenge, we're now hearing that Angela Rayner would be free to also put her hat in the ring if she chooses to do so. Would that mean that the contest is triggered and Andy Burnham has missed the boat? Or could the NEC set a longer timetable and actually allow him, potentially, if he wins a by-election, to put his hat in the ring as well?
It all depends on the NEC and what they decide. There is no precedent for this because the Labour Party doesn't get rid of leaders, and it has never got rid of a sitting Prime Minister. So what would happen is, if Wes Streeting has got the numbers, or if Ed Miliband or Angela Rayner has, they write to the NEC, they've got to give these numbers, then the NEC would set a timetable for nominations to be in. We don't know how long that would be or how long the voting would be. And again, with Andy Burnham, if he has a seat, and we're hearing that he might announce that he has as soon as today, would the timetable for nominations to run for leader allow him the time to run in a by-election? I was talking to somebody yesterday who was saying, well, you know, they reckon that they could have a by-election by the middle of June. That would be very, very soon. The NEC have blocked Andy Burnham before. They could do it again. But what is clear is that there is no agreement in Labour ranks about what should happen next. The only agreement I think there is really is that the Prime Minister can't lead them into the next general election. But just to give you an example, when I went across to Parliament yesterday, I walked straight into a minister who was absolutely despairing and horrified that they're doing this. The next person I spoke to was a Red Wall MP who said, look, he's got to go. Look at the results. This can't go on. But he didn't seem clear at all who should replace him. And whoever that person is, opposition parties will say, where's the mandate? The public didn't vote for this.
So therefore, us in Downing Street, thank you very much.
Well, let's talk to former Conservative Special Advisor James Price. James, good morning to you. I mean, you've seen your own share of civil war within your own party over recent years. What do you make of how the Labour Party's playing it compared to what the Tories did?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it feels like deja vu all over again in one sense, except this time I'm on the outside in with a certain level of, what is it the Germans call it, Schadenfreude, enjoying Labour, who are so holier than thou. And when they came in, all their outriders saying, oh, isn't it nice, the quiet? Oh, isn't it nice having the grown-ups in charge? Only for us to have 2 years of absolutely abject government. And now they can't even do a leadership coup right. For all the faults that the Conservatives had, at least they were good at getting rid of leaders when it was very clear that those leaders were completely incompetent or were no longer able to fulfill the needs of the country. The Labour Party can't even get this right. And when you look at some of the reasons, some of the people going for it, you see the reason why. In Angela Rayner, you've got someone who is, I think, but to be fair, a complete kind of left-wing media fabrication, someone who would be totally hopeless at the job. You've got in Ed Miliband, who the guy I think will actually probably win at the end of this, an absolutely terrifying creature who will hasten Britain's decline even further. That's why they look to someone outside of Parliament in Andy Burnham, another completely busted flush who's already lost the Labour leadership twice. And when once asked, and I'm not making this up, what his favourite biscuit was to try and prove how northern he was, he said, I don't like biscuits, I like gravy. And then you've got the one vaguely half-sane guy in Wes Streeting, who looks like, as has been reported excellently by you this morning, he might go for it today. You've got his colleagues saying, no, he's far too sane. If he makes it to the number 10, we'll destroy him the way Liz Truss was destroyed and we'll have another leadership contest. So it's just a complete and utter shambles from start to finish. And all the while, we've got still Iran going on. You've still got problems with China going on. You've got massively rising debt. And instead of dealing with that debt, you've got Labour MPs, people like Diane Abbott, saying, well, the bond markets will just have to get in line, showing their complete lack of economic literacy in any way. So I'm sorry to upset everybody this morning, and I shouldn't be grinning through all of it because it's more of a rictus grin than anything else. But I just think this is a total shambles, and it's not going to get any better, really, no matter who they put into number 10.
What do you make of that breaking news in the past few minutes that Angela Rayner has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs, and that paving the way for a potential leadership bid? Do you think she'll go for it, James? Because in the following interview with The Guardian, she's talking about being bruised by the whole experience. She didn't like the press intrusion, especially when it came to her disabled son's personal life. Do you think that she will step up to the plate?
I mean, I certainly hope not, because, as I say, there is a sort of delusion amongst some people that this is in any way an impressive political candidate. I think it's a little bit odd that HMRC, where it was briefed for a while, could take 18 months or so to get this done, have managed to get this cleared maybe in time for her to get involved. That smacks of a level of political pressure or something from the inside, far be it from me to know what's going on there. But regardless, I think she's just a very, very poor candidate. She got into government. She failed to get anywhere near the Labour's own house building targets. They are hopelessly behind on that in the middle of a housing crisis. In fact, the only person she managed to house seemingly was herself. And if I remember this scandal of all the Labour scandals correctly, she was using money that the NHS was sending for her disabled son to help her with her housing portfolio, and then was unable to say where it was she was living. It all seems very fishy to me, and I've got absolutely no confidence that she has any ability to govern. Just close your eyes, everybody watching at home and imagine her across the table from President Xi Jinping or from Putin or from anybody for that matter. It just doesn't stand up to any credibility at all.
All right, what about one person you've not mentioned, whose name, I mean, look, and is frankly become a regular on this very programme, the Armed Forces Minister Al Khan's brigadier in Special Forces, as someone who's still a reserve Marine now, someone who knows how to lead, someone who perhaps isn't tainted by some of the stuff from previous Labour governments. He could be a potential, couldn't he?
Well, he sounds far too sane again, doesn't he? For the left of the Labour Party to go for this. If he's got any idea of how bond markets work, then definitely he'd be out. But of course, he's also someone who I think I'm right in saying, reported by the political editor of The Critic, Henry Hill, as someone who said he would be committing Britain to Taiwan's defence. So I'm not quite sure what military force we've got to do that. It'd be wonderful if Britain was in a condition to uphold the sovereign integrity of somewhere like Taiwan. But I think what's that line in Top Gun? His mouth might be writing checks his body can't cash. And yet again, you've got a Labour Party now who's said that they would do an awful lot of rejuvenation of our armed forces. None of that has been forthcoming at all. So again, if you've got someone in there who actually has any level of reality about the dire situation in which Britain finds itself. I mean, we can't even defend our own shores at the moment, let alone going around the rest of the world. We saw very nobly Labour say they would try and help defend Ukraine again, but with what army, with what divisions? We're hopelessly behind when it comes to the competitors we've got around the world. And unless this guy's whole mission is going to be, I will get Britain back onto a sound and sane economic footing so that we can pay for higher defence, which is something that, on all evidence, the Labour Party that's currently in Parliament won't allow him to do. Again, none of it will mean a hill of beans. This is the problem we've got. I think probably the best outcome is that Starmer stays on, fatally weakened, and limps for another 18 months or so, not doing quite enough damage to Britain for it to be truly fatal until we get a general election and clear this lot out once and for all.
OK, James. For now.
Sorry to upset everybody.
Thank you very much indeed. Well, yeah, I don't know. I think, and we'll talk to James a little bit later on. I think part of the thing you've got to be across with all of this is people who've said Starmer is rubbish and should go, are now the same people who then don't like any potential candidates and, well, maybe Starmer would be better if he stayed and limped on.
Yeah. But for the Tories, that would work better for them, wouldn't it? I mean, publicly calling for him to go, but privately, actually...
wanting him to stay, yeah.
Yeah, would want him to stay because he is so unpopular.
I mean, as well as Nigel Farage said last week.
He's our greatest asset.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want him to go. Anyway, I'm sure you've got views. We're talking about it all morning, and we'll be talking about it all day because we are expecting something to happen today. And really, it's the beginning of the end. It has to be for the Prime Minister.
Just want to bring you this other line from Angela Rayner. We've just told you she's been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs. She's also been asked by the media this morning whether she'd do any deals with Andy Burnham, because we've seen them recently, haven't we, in Manchester together, getting a takeaway. She says explicitly no. When asked if she has done a deal with Andy Burnham, she says, I'm not doing any deals. And she also said, I would not trigger the Prime Minister. But she hasn't ruled out whether she put herself forward for leadership.
Yeah, letting someone else pull the starting gun.
Who may be Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, this morning.
Yeah,
we'll
looks
wait
like.
And see.
All right, we'll keep you fully up to date, but at 18 minutes past 6, time for the weather with Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that'll be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning, as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some sunshine here and there. You can see some gaps between the showers, but the brighter colours show that they could be quite heavy if you do get caught in one. Those showers do tend to die away into the evening, though, with clearer skies developing quite widely, particularly across western areas. It's the northwest that will be the chilliest overnight tonight. Meanwhile, across the east, we've got an area of low pressure bringing more in the way of rain and cloud to eastern coast. So slightly milder here, quite a lot of cloud around, but still a cold northerly wind coming down the North Sea here. So for Friday, I think for most of us, it's going to be a drier day with high pressure coming in just for a time. So that means fewer showers, not entirely dry. You can see there's still a few showers here and there, particularly across the south coast later in the day. And across the east, it will still feel chilly with that northerly wind persisting into the afternoon. So temperatures here closer to 10 or 11 degrees. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we'll have more on that breaking news that Angela Rayner has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs. Will the Prime Minister survive another day? We're also hearing that Wes Streeting could launch a leadership bid as early as this morning. That's all still to come on GB News Breakfast.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You have the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, the breaking news this morning is that Angela Rayner has been, it's good timing, she's been cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to her tax affairs.
Well, I welcome HMRC's conclusion and they've said that there wasn't any wrongdoing and that I didn't try to avoid paying tax or I wasn't careless in the way in which I conducted myself at the time, and I've never wanted to avoid paying my tax. And for me, that was the most distressing thing, is that people felt that I was tax dodging or trying to set up trusts to avoid tax or being careless by not taking the appropriate advice, and HMRC have concluded that isn't the case.
Well, this news could spark a leadership contest if Wes Streeting successfully scrambles together 81 Labour MPs to back him.
Follows that meeting, very brief meeting yesterday between Mr Streeting and Keir Starmer, just hours before the King's speech, of course. Quite what was said, we don't know.
Yet. Well, MPs met in the Commons soon after, where Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch didn't hold back the punches.
Scrapping NHS England, something the Prime Minister announced 14 months ago. But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Yeah, hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Even worse, Mr Speaker, is what isn't in the gracious speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. You'll know. Even worse, Mr Speaker.
Well, I tell you what, she's improved her performance over recent months, hasn't she? I mean,
she was on fire yesterday.
She was on fire, but it's an open goal.
It is.
It is an open goal. Meanwhile, I mean, to give him his due, he wasn't sat there with his head in his hands. The Prime Minister made light of the situation yesterday.
Let me also thank the Leader of the Opposition for the usual warm and generous nature of her contribution. In difficult days, her input is always a ray of sunshine. But we do have one thing in common. Our parties both had tough results in the local elections last week. The difference is, she hasn't noticed.
I thought he was uncharacteristically relaxed yesterday. What did you think?
It almost feels like a weight has been taken off his shoulders because he knows what's coming.
Well, maybe that's exactly what it is. Well, Ed Miliband, Andy Burnham and the Defence Minister Al Carnes are expected to join the leadership race if one is launched today. Is Labour and is Labour's civil war on the brink?
Let's talk to former Labour councillor Simon Greaves. Simon, good morning to you. Look, I know you've been on this channel so many times over recent days and defending the Prime Minister, but you've got to face the reality now, haven't we, that a leadership challenge is coming?
It certainly looks that way if you listen to all the briefings and all the froth and all the noise. It sounds like there is a challenge that is on its way, and let's see who actually has the numbers and who actually puts their hat in the ring.
Do you think the Prime Minister will fight it? That's what the briefing is in the press this morning. And actually, based on how cool, calm and collected he seemed to be yesterday, speaking after the King's speech, that might indicate either he's ready to fight or he knows what's coming and, as Stephen was saying, perhaps the weight has been lifted off his shoulders.
Well, first of all, yes, I do think the Prime Minister will fight any election contest. And the point that you just made there, I think, is going to be very important, because it wouldn't surprise me if over the next few weeks and months, however long this takes, we will see Keir Starmer in a different way that we've not seen before. Almost more relaxed, bring it on. I thought his speech yesterday in the House of Commons was quite telling as to where he is. And he knows the fundamentals in terms of where the economy is, the volatility that there is in the country. And I think that Prime Minister will say, bring it on then.
Well, it's a difference, though, isn't it? Between if it was a face-off with Wes Streeting, it would be one thing. But when you've got various other people throwing their hats into the ring, and it looks like you'd see Angela Rayner in there, very possibly Ed Miliband, very possibly Al Carnes. And never mind the Andy Burnham factor, whatever happens there, that changes the dynamic, doesn't it?
Well, it actually makes the whole situation far more complicated for those that want to challenge the Prime Minister. And so they've really got to have their ducks in a row. And it looks to me as though actually they don't. And so the Prime Minister's got to be very clear about where he stands and what he's been doing and what he wants to see. And actually, what are the arguments from any would-be contenders about what their vision is, how they would approach things? We know that that money is difficult. We know that the economy is challenging. So what is their actual plan? I think that will be quite telling.
Well, except for, I mean, you're quite right. We would need to hear what their plans are and how they would, take the country forward. But the difference is, up until this point, we've been told the Cabinet is unified behind the Prime Minister. Well, if all this starts to happen, we know that isn't the case, don't we? If a number of Cabinet members come out and throw their hats into the ring, well, that's them saying, I can do a better job than he's doing.
But those people are going to have to, walk, they have to make their arguments and deal with all the drama that follows from that, and it won't be pretty. But the Cabinet, I believe, is overwhelmingly backing Keir Starmer, and that will come through as time goes on.
I wonder, Simon, if you've got any insight into what's going on with Andy Burnham, because yesterday it was being briefed out that in these secret London talks that he'd had after arriving in London Euston, that he'd managed to find an MP who was willing to stand down, and that would trigger a by-election in which Andy Burnham could stand. But that has not been confirmed by anyone.
Well, I think if there was a process that was started, it would really flush out the realities of Andy Burnham. Because the truth is, there is no seat, there is no pathway, there is no safe route of passage for any of this. MPs are in Parliament that have a say on this. Andy Burnham isn't. That's the truth of it, whether he likes it or not.
I mean, the reality is, though, that when you look at, various polling, and it puts various people head-to-head with Keir Starmer, and Andy Burnham wins hands down, getting a much better result than anybody else.
I do recognise that Andy Burnham is very popular. I understand why. Rightly so. He's a popular guy. He's doing a lot of work in Manchester. The problem is, I think, that whoever is in number 10 is over these few years ahead is going to be incredibly unpopular. And I think MPs have to have an appreciation for the state that things are, the decisions that need to be made. And actually, this is not a popularity contest. This is leading a country.
OK, Simon Greaves, really good to get your perspective on things this morning. Thank you very much.
Oh, dear me. I mean...
Exciting times. Well, anything could happen.
It really is exciting. You wouldn't want to be a politician, would you?
Who would want to be a politician?
I mean, it's absolute madness. Big question is this plunging us into chaos, as the Prime Minister says, or is the Prime Minister causing the chaos, which is because of what's happened over the last couple of years? That's for you to decide at the moment. gbnews.com/your say.
Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A92 is closed in both directions from Melville Lodges roundabout to Ladybank Junction due to emergency roadworks. On the M6 northbound in Staffordshire, there are lane closures between Junction 14 and Junction 15 following a road traffic collision. Drivers should expect delays of around 30 minutes, with normal conditions expected between 7 and 7:15 this morning. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway have buses replacing trains between Barton-on-Humber and Cleethorpes. Meanwhile, London Overground services are disrupted between Clapham Junction and Dalston Junction via Denmark Hill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Still to come, we're going to be live in Downing Street all morning, where the action, well, might be happening today. Catherine Forster is there. Morning, Catherine.
Yes, good morning. We could well be heading towards our 6th Prime Minister in 7 years. The Prime Minister saying, don't do this, don't plunge the country into chaos. But it feels very much like the chaos is already here.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Right, it's 6:37. The breaking news this morning is that Angela Rayner has today been cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to her tax affairs.
Well, I welcome HMRC's conclusion and they've said that there wasn't any wrongdoing and that I didn't try to avoid paying tax or I wasn't careless in the way in which I conducted myself at the time, and I've never wanted to avoid paying my tax. And for me, that was the most distressing thing, is that people felt that I was tax dodging or trying to set up trusts to avoid tax or being careless by not taking the appropriate advice, and HMRC have concluded that isn't the case.
Well, that's as the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is expected to resign this morning in a bid to oust the Prime Minister.
Well, Kemi Badenoch for the Conservatives didn't hold back when she challenged the Health Secretary on the matter.
But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Yeah, hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to.
Well, let's cross now to GB News' chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who is live outside Downing Street for us this morning. Morning to you, Catherine. Should we start with Angela Rayner being cleared by HMRC? This is fantastic timing for her, isn't it, if she wants to throw her hat in the ring, if Wes Streeting launches that leadership challenge today?
Yes, fantastic timing for Angela Rayner, and it is clear that if, as we expect, Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, launches his bid to challenge the Prime Minister today, that somebody from the left was always going to stand, whether that be Ed Miliband or Andy Burnham on the soft left, or now the very real possibility that it could be the former Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, who stood down over £40,000 of unpaid stamp duty on a flat in Hove. She's been cleared of any deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness. She has settled that bill. There was no penalty, and now she's saying that she wants to play her part. So the plot thickens. The Prime Minister in Downing Street saying, do not do this. This would plunge the country into chaos. The government would not be able to be working to make people better off, which is what they are supposed to be doing. And basically, it's exactly what the Conservatives did, and it's exactly what the Labour Party pledged not to do. They said they'd end the chaos. They said that they would bring stability. They would end the infighting. But the infighting is there. It is well and truly into the open. And so who is going to stand? The Prime Minister will automatically be on the ballot. He says he will fight it. Wes Streeting, the Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, perhaps Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, perhaps, or perhaps the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. We keep hearing that he's got a seat lined up, that some Labour MP is going to stand down to trigger a by-election, which he might then win and come back to Parliament. The problem is, it still hasn't happened now. It's now being briefed that Asfal Khan, who is the Labour MP for Manchester Rusholme, is going to agree to stand down, but even if that happens, will the NEC allow Andy Burnham to stand? They blocked him from standing in Gorton and Denton before. They could do so again. Would the timetable for a Labour leadership contest allow for a by-election to be fought? And even if it did, that seat is predicted to go to the Green Party. At the moment, if there was a general election tomorrow, it's estimated the Greens would get 50% of the vote and Labour just 24%. Now, many people think that the so-called King of the North is something special, but there is no clearly winnable seat at this point for Labour anywhere in the country.
Catherine, thank you very much.
All right, let's get a roundup from our senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson. Nigel, good morning to you. What is your take? I mean, obviously, you know the Labour Party very well, but you've always been balanced on the approach to how this is going. We are at a point of no return, aren't we, as far as this whole process is concerned?
Yes, I think that actually a leadership contest is almost inevitable now. So, yes, we have passed that point of no return. I don't think they should be having it now. And the reason for that is that you shouldn't have one until you've got all the contenders in the ring. Now, clearly, Andy Burnham is a contender and he's not in the ring yet. So the first thing you've got to do is solve the Andy Burnham question, sort of the burning question, really, which means that he needs time to find a seat. Now, in the event that it's true that Afzal Khan will give up his seat, he's only got an 8,200 majority. So it is quite possible Andy Burnham wouldn't capture it. But at least if you've given him the chance to fight that seat, if he loses, then you solve the Andy Burnham question, and then you can get on with the other contenders in the race.
Is it a question that needs to be solved, though, or is it just as simple as he's missed the boat? Because if Wes Streeting goes over the top today and he launches this leadership challenge, Angela Rayner, perfect timing, just been cleared by HMRC, she can stand for the left of the party, then it's a three-way race, isn't it? With Sir Keir Starmer, we're being told at least, is willing to fight this.
Well, we've seen the chaos under the Tories when they kept switching prime minister, and the danger is that if Andy Burnham doesn't come back now, he might come back at some stage in the future, and we have another challenge, and therefore we're going to have another prime minister, and that would be the worst of all possible worlds. So the answer would be get it sorted out now. If Andy Burnham can stand, then he should. But obviously, the timing is against him if there's a leadership election immediately.
All right, Nigel, we've got to leave it there, but good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come. Will Wes Streeting plunge the Labour Party into civil war today? Perhaps Angela Rayner will as well. She's been cleared by HMRC. We're going to be speaking to James Murray, Chief Secretary to the Treasury from the government, about this very shortly.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away over the next couple of days? Well, there's some very unsettled weather across Central Europe with thunderstorms and large hail, and that is pushing further south. But for the Canary Islands, it's relatively dry, some brighter spells into parts of Spain as well as Italy. That unsettled weather is pushing down from Central Europe through the rest of this week. It does look like it will get a little bit drier into next week and over the weekend, however, and temperatures will finally lift up a bit as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11 only on GB News.
I've got a world exclusive for you. There's a very exciting new talent on the London stage. We've got a little exclusive clip for you here.
Baby sham.
Okay, so we saw a scene in a bar with not much dialogue. What was that then?
That was me.
What?
That was me, Michael.
What was
that was me
then?
strolling onto stage. I think they've got some pictures of me in costume and everything. There you go.
Oh, now we have a picture.
Yeah,
of you,
so this
recognisably.
That was me. Very exciting new talent. So this is the Park Theatre up in North London, and again, this is more of my love of local theatres,
yes.
Regional theatres, community theatres.
Yes.
I'd had a lovely chat with Jez Bond, who is the founder, director and writer of this show. They need $600,000 a year on top of box office takings just to break even. So every year they do this whodunit. And the idea is, apart from me, they have Ian McKellen doing the voiceover, they have Emma Thompson, Gillian Anderson, Julian Clary, Hugh Bonneville, Benedict Cumberbatch. All these people come in for one night, they turn up, they're literally put into they play the sheriff in this mad spoof whodunit. They get an earpiece, and then literally, so that's it, they open the fake saloon doors, come on stage, I walked to the bar and ordered a baby sham with my amazing Westerns accent. And then the rest of the play, you have the earpiece in. So I went and did about an hour, and I was the first person they had on the stage to see how it all works. And it was fascinating.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
6:48, let's get the government's perspective on everything that's going on. We can talk to the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray. Good morning to you. You got the short straw today, Mr Murray, didn't you? Having to speak to the media on all of this. The firing gun has effectively...
I always like coming on your programme.
Oh, it's very good to hear.
We're very happy to see you as well.
You old charmer. But the firing pistol's been started, hasn't it, on this now?
On what, sorry?
Oh, come on the leadership election.
No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party. And let me tell you why I think that. I think it would bring huge instability and it would mean that we would be looking inward as a party. And I think what we should be doing is tackling the challenges that people are facing, what people are telling us are their priorities about the cost of living, about getting NHS waiting lists down, about making sure we're getting the Strait of Hormuz reopened.
Right, but Mr Murray...
Those are the kind of things we should be focused on, and that's our responsibility.
But Mr Murray, we understand that the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is going to resign today and he is going to launch a leadership contest, a leadership challenge to the Prime Minister. Now, if that briefing was incorrect, and it's been out in the media now for the best part of 24 hours, then that would have been flatly denied by Mr Streeting and his team. So we can expect this to happen this morning. Is the Prime Minister ready to take this on?
Well, look, there's no shortage of speculation in the media, and the Prime Minister said himself on Monday if there were a leadership election, he would stand in that leadership election and win and continue as Prime Minister. But I think what's important for me is to emphasise that I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take. I think that we should be focusing on the challenges people are facing. I think we have a responsibility as a government to focus on what people are experiencing rather than to look inward and to focus on our own issues as a party. And I think that's a responsibility we have to the people of this country.
But there's a fair argument, isn't there, Mr Murray, to say if you had been focusing on what matters to people, including the cost of living and all these other issues that you mentioned, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place.
Well, no, look, we have been focusing on making sure we fix the public finances, get public services back on their feet, and tackle the cost of living. And look at a good example, which is
happened, to be
very
fair,
current at the moment.
For most people, for most of our viewers and listeners this morning, they're not feeling any benefit from that at all.
Well, let me tell you one example where I think we are making a real difference, which is around energy bills, because people watching the TV or looking at their phones, seeing what's happening in the Middle East, rightfully might be worried about their energy bills going up. But actually, because of what Rachel Reeves did at the budget last year, people's energy bills have come down and will stay down in April, May and June. Now, that's a real help for people right now when people are worried about the cost of living. But is there more to do? Of course there is. And that's why we're focused on investing in energy for the future to bring bills down for good. Now, look, can I just say one thing, which is that we had elections last week and they were a tough set of election results for us. But the message that I took from those elections were that not that people were going against what we had said in 2024 in the general election, but they wanted to feel that change sooner, feel that change quicker, and they were frustrated and not feeling it quick enough. And that's why for us, what's really important as a government is to get on and make sure people can feel that change that we promised.
This must be really frustrating for you, Mr Murray, because we're not talking about your work, are we? We're not speaking about Labour policy. We're talking about the chaos that is engulfing your party. We're talking about Labour's civil war. And this is a party that promised us change, that promised us that there would be no more chaos, there would be no more infighting, that we would have a politics that would tread lightly on our lives. Do you remember that promise? We're so far from that.
Well, look, I would much rather be talking about the King's speech that we had yesterday, and the King's speech setting out some really important changes we're going to make about the NHS, cutting bureaucracy in the NHS to spend on the front line, about energy independence to make sure we're bringing down bills for good, about social housing renewal, a bill that we're going to be publishing today, changing the system in schools to help children with SEND. There are so many things in our King's speech yesterday which build on the work we've done already, making it easier to deport foreign criminals, building on the work we've done already to get the asylum backlog down. All of that is really important stuff. I would much rather be talking about that with you this morning.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? That, I mean, we saw headlines in the papers over the weekend about about the Prime Minister's fight back and he's going to make the cost of living easier for people and all the rest of it, off the back of the elections, off the back of the fact he was facing more pressure. Well, we've all known for months how badly this was going to go for Labour in the local elections. Why does it take direct pressure on the Prime Minister's position before these things are then enacted?
Well, no, the King's Speech has obviously been in preparation for some time, and what the King's Speech does is set out the legislative agenda for the new session of Parliament and how we're going to implement what we promised to do in the general election. So, we've been working on this since we got in to office just under 2 years ago. And, if you look at the economy, if you look at the data on the economy that we had just before the war in Iran, it showed strong growth figures, 0.5 percentage point in February. It showed we knew inflation was coming down, unemployment was coming down. It showed that we had the right economic plan. Now, obviously, the war in Iran is going to put pressure on our economy. We know that. We know we're going to feel the impact, even though it's not our war, even though Keir Starmer said we weren't going to follow Trump into the war in Iran. We know that's going to have an impact on us, but we are better prepared to weather what comes our way because of what the Chancellor has done with her economic plan.
Angela Rayner has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs. That's the breaking news we've had this morning. Fantastic timing for Angela Rayner, isn't it, if she wants to throw her hat in the ring for this leadership contest?
Well, look, Angela's a friend of mine, and on a personal level, I'm really pleased for her that this has been cleared up. I haven't seen the full details, but I know that I know how stressful it will have been for her, as it would be for anyone facing this kind of investigation. So on a personal level, I'm really pleased for her that it's been cleared up.
Would you support her then if she runs for the leadership? Because she was asked this by The Guardian. She says she's willing to play her part.
Well, I think she also said to The Guardian that she wouldn't be triggering a contest. So that's
she wouldn't
clear
trigger
that
it, but she might take part in it.
In triggering that. Well, look, my position remains, as I said earlier, that I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us as a party. I don't think we should be looking inward. I don't think we should invite the instability that a leadership election would cause. I think we should be focused on what matters to people, on getting the cost of living down, bringing down NHS waiting lists, and taking the right decisions in relation to the war in Iran.
We're down just to a few seconds, but I mean, the bottom line is, if you don't change your leader, you're not going to win the next election, are you?
We will win the next election by delivering on what we promised to do at the last general election. And look, the election results in the local elections last week were clear that people are frustrated, but that's why we need to make sure we meet what people expect us to do, Minister, and deliver the change that we promised.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
We'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A92 is closed in both directions from Melville Lodges roundabout to Ladybank Junction due to emergency roadworks. On the M6 northbound in Staffordshire, all lanes are closed between junction 14 and junction 15 following a collision, causing delays of up to 1 hour. Normal traffic conditions are expected between 7:30 and 7:45 this morning. And on the trains, buses replace services between Barton-on-Humber and Cleethorpes on East Midlands Railway, while disruption continues on London Overground between Clapham Junction and Dalston Junction via Denmark Hill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news this morning, the government is in denial. So it could be argued as Angela Rayner is cleared by the HMRC of wrongdoing over her tax affairs.
On what, sorry? No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered.
Well, that's been revealed just hours before the Health Secretary Wes Streeting is set to potentially ignite a day of Labour anarchy.
Well, the reports are that he's going to resign from Sir Keir Starmer's government this morning and launch his leadership challenge. But as the Conservative leader put it yesterday, shouldn't he just get on with his job?
But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Yeah, hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to.
Well, the Prime Minister is urging MPs not to plunge the country into chaos, but it feels very much like the chaos is already here. And now Angela Rayner has sorted her tax affairs with HMRC.
And it's being reported that Wes Streeting is not the only one eyeing up number 10. Andy Burnham, Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, they could all throw their hats in the ring, especially after that breaking news about Angela Rayner's tax affairs. It's all to play for after the Prime Minister failed to convince backbenchers that he's the right man for the job.
Because whilst immigration is down, we need to do more. Whilst violent crime is down, it needs to be lower. Whilst NHS waiting lists are down, we must go further.
Well, it looks like Labour is on the brink of civil war and Britain potentially facing its sixth Prime Minister in 7 years.
Good morning. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today. The showers could be quite heavy. They bring a risk of hail and thunder. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast. Can we just talk about James Murray, who, I mean, God love him, coming on to do the government round today.
It's a tough gig.
It's a tough gig today. But you said, about this leadership challenge. Sorry, what? What's going on?
Has the starting pistol been fired?
Has the starting pistol been fired? On what?
I mean, please. To be fair, maybe he's got a sense of humour.
Yeah.
Give him that. I'll give him that.
Well, he is a supporter and he's doing a very good job of supporting the Prime Minister because that's exactly what the Prime Minister is saying. But how long is that line going to hold, especially if rumours are to be believed and the briefing is to be believed that Wes Streeting is going to resign as Health Secretary today and is going to launch that leadership challenge?
Have we got that? Can we play that sort? Seppa.
It is remarkable. No.
But anyway, it's one of those strange situations we're in now. But also, I mean, I noticed one of the ministers who resigned, whose name I've forgotten now, Alex something Davies, who we talked to on the programme only last week. backing the Prime Minister. And now she's resigned, saying she can't support him anymore. But that's politics for you. You can't just believe everything that you're told, can you?
Alex Davies-Jones.
That's her.
That's who she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Talked to her last week. No, it's all fine. Everything's fine. It's all good. Now she's quit.
But as you can see, things happen in a flash, don't they? They can happen in an instant, and we could have a very, very different story by lunchtime today, especially with that news that Angela Rayner has been cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to her tax affairs. Fantastic timing for Angela Rayner.
Yeah.
If she wants to throw a hat in the ring, that is.
Yeah, well, I mean, she said she will throw a hat into the ring if someone else fires the starting pistol, which we expect to be Wes Streeting, who is likely to resign from Cabinet this morning and launch his own leadership bid.
Well, I welcome HMRC's conclusion, and they've said that there wasn't any wrongdoing and that I didn't try to avoid paying tax, or I wasn't careless in the way in which I conducted myself at the time, and I've never wanted to avoid paying my tax. And for me, that was the most distressing thing, is that people felt that I was tax dodging or trying to set up trusts to avoid tax, or being careless by not taking the appropriate advice, and HMRC have concluded that isn't the case.
OK, so that's what Angela Rayner has to stay. And as we were speaking about there, Stephen asked the government a little bit earlier, has the starting gun been fired on the leadership challenge? They seem to be in denial over this.
Well, look, there's no shortage of speculation in the media, and the Prime Minister said himself on Monday if there were a leadership election, he would stand in that leadership election and win and continue as Prime Minister. But I think what's important for me is to emphasise that I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take. I think that we should be focusing on the challenges people are facing. I think we have a responsibility as a government to focus on what people are experiencing rather than to look inward and to focus on our own issues as a party. And I think that's a responsibility we have to the people of this country.
All right, let's talk to our chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who's live in Downing Street this morning. I mean, look, the reality is, Catherine, whatever the minister has to say, I mean, I'll eat my hat if the firing pistol isn't done today. I mean, Wes Streeting is going to kick all this off, isn't he?
It feels very much like it, and it's quite surreal. This is the fourth day I've been standing on Downing Street, and the government are still putting out this everything's pretty normal, nothing much to see here message, when clearly that is not the case at all. We are expecting the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, who marched up the street yesterday, was out 16 minutes later looking pretty chipper, to resign as Health Secretary as soon as this morning and launch a leadership bid. We're told that he's got the numbers, although I don't think number 10 entirely buy that, because reports that his allies were ringing people known to be pretty loyal to Starmer, and also reports that they were saying to MPs, you know, support Wes now, but you can always transfer your vote later. That's not the case. You can't transfer your vote unless somebody withdraws. So we are likely going to find out sooner rather than later. But the big development this morning, of course, is Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, who has now been cleared by the HMRC over that tax row regarding £40,000 of unpaid stamp duty on a flat in Hove. Now, she has paid that debt. There wasn't any penalty given. HMRC have cleared her of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness, so that removes the obstacle to her potentially standing, because if Wes Streeting stands, the Prime Minister has said that he will fight it. There's no way on earth that the left of the party is going to allow that battle to go unchallenged, so it would be potentially Angela Rayner, potentially the Energy Secretary Ed Miliband, who we hear may also have the numbers. And what of Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, the most popular Labour politician in the country, and the one that all the polling suggests would be the only one who would immediately improve Labour's fortunes? Well, we are hearing that he has got a seat lined up. We've heard similar before, but it could be announced today. That seat is Afzal Khan, who is in Manchester Rusholme. He's a long-standing ally of Andy Burnham, but even if that happened, the NEC could block Andy Burnham again, or the timetable for the leadership could rule him out. Even if all that went Andy Burnham's way, there's no guarantee he would win that seat, because at the moment it's projected, if there were a general election tomorrow, that the Greens would win it by 50% of the vote. So the Prime Minister urging colleagues not to do this, not to plunge the party and the country into chaos. Those messages, though, at the moment are not being heeded.
Catherine there for us in Downing Street. It could be a very busy morning for you, Catherine. Thank you very much.
Let's talk to Reform UK councillor for Epping Forest, newly minted, we should say. Jamie McIver, good to see you this morning, councillor.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I wonder, what is this good or bad for Reform? I mean, Nigel Farage was only half joking, wasn't he, when he said, well, I want Keir Starmer to stay?
Well, look, first of all, I think it doesn't matter who leads the Labour Party. Reform UK are in an incredible position, doing an outstanding job in local government, and we've got the leader that everyone wants to be Prime Minister, so I don't think makes no difference. But what I do think is very useful for Reform is our message has always been, look at the others, the Uni Party, Labour, Tories. They're not interested in you, they're not interested in people, because I genuinely don't think they are. They're only interested in themselves and pursuing their own careers. And actually what you're now seeing is the Labour Party are just as bad as the Tory Party when it comes to all of this, fighting like rats in a sack, another Prime Minister that's not delivering anything for the British people. And actually it's just further proving why the country needs radical reform and why the country needs a reform government.
But it's interesting, there's a clip we show in some of our promos of Camilla Tominey talking to Richard Tice, where she says, you're all fighting like rats in a sack. I think that was over the time Zia Youssef initially resigned as chairman and obviously has come back in a different role. But however, that's an accusation that can be levelled and has been levelled at Reform in the past. Every party.
Look, I've been in the party. Of course, as in a party, you have disagreements, of course, and actually in Reform we have lively debate. You know, we have hundreds of active branches that frequently debate policy. We debate all the time. Our council groups debate policy. We're actually in government in a number of councils in a local way. So obviously we actually have a party where people have a facility to debate. I know from being a member of the Tory party, you can't have an opinion. I know that because I've been there. And I'm sure in a Labour Party it's the same. Anyone that criticises Keir Starmer, they're gone. We've seen it with some of the parliamentary parties. So I disagree. I think that there's a very big distinction between the Uni Party, their lack of delivery and their obsession with fighting each other for top jobs, rather than Reform UK, where we're all united behind our leader. We all want our leader to be Prime Minister and everybody's fighting for that cause. Our mission is to make Nigel Farage Prime Minister and save the country. Could you tell me the mission of the Labour Party? Could you tell me the mission of the Liberal Democrats? Could you tell me the mission of the Tory Party? They don't have a mission, they don't have a plan.
Can we talk about Andy Burnham, who is looking for a safe Labour seat in Manchester? We were hearing yesterday that he'd found one. He'd found an MP that was willing to stand down and trigger a by-election. Is there such a thing now as a safe Labour seat? Because I'd imagine if a by-election were to be called in Manchester, Reform and whoever else would throw the kitchen sink at that by-election.
Well, I think the truth is there's no safe seat for any party, and I think the idea that we used to, take the electorate for fools and just assume that they'll all go in like nodding dogs and vote for a party is part of the reason why we're going to see the Uni Party be completely extinct. The establishment parties have always just assumed there's such a thing as a safe Labour seat, a safe Tory seat. Truth be told, when herd moves, it moves. Just look at Essex County Council's election results. So-called safe Tory area, they're gone, a lot of them. So I think actually the truth of the matter is if Andy Burnham runs for Parliament, I think we'll end up with another Reform UK MP, and then we'll probably then end up with a Reform UK Mayor of Manchester, and hopefully that would trigger an early general election. That would be my wish, and I'll pray for that every day. But I think the truth is there is no such thing as a safe Labour seat, and why would anyone vote Labour? Why would anyone want to vote Labour right now? Why would anybody want to do that? And also, how insincere...
Well, to be fair, lots of people want to vote. I mean, I know it's not in your mindset. I mean, I know you're obviously coming at it from a very different position, but there's still plenty of people who want to vote Labour.
I mean, they won a landslide not even 2 years ago.
Well, I think if you look at the vote share, and look...
Well, 34%. It was a low vote share.
Jeremy Corbyn got more votes than Keir Starmer, if we're going to play that game. But I think the truth be told, there are people that are going to vote Labour, of course there are. And there are people that I think are voting Labour in a very unenthusiastic way. I think if you look at when I go canvassing, if I meet a lefty, I'm almost certain they're going to vote Labour because there isn't a Green candidate at the moment. That seems to be the feedback I get. But the truth is, the Labour Party has fundamentally let down the country, and whether you're on the left or right of politics, you recognise that and you feel that in your pocket, whether you're a lefty or somebody that votes for a more conservative-leaning party. The cost of living is hitting everybody. People with no income, people with a normal income, people with significant income. Everyone is being battered by the cost of living. Nobody has enthusiasm to keep this government in place.
But then what you've got to surely then be wary of is who may take over from Keir Starmer if this whole process starts. I mean, yes, you can perhaps say, well, there are questions about what Ed Miliband would do or what Angela Rayner would do, even what Andy Burnham would do, because he seems to have shifted significantly to the left. But should Wes Streeting get in, should someone like Al Carnes get in, perhaps you're going to face someone who actually can put up a lot more of a challenge than Keir Starmer's proving to be.
Well, I think Keir Starmer has been a horrendous Prime Minister, and I find it staggering that he will be on the wall in Downing Street with a portrait for history as a Prime Minister. If someone like Keir Starmer can make it to number 10, that's a worry for me. Who replaces Keir Starmer will obviously be up to the Labour Party, but I do genuinely believe that the Labour Party brand is so dead, just like the Tory brand. It's so done. It's betrayed people.
I mean, Kemi Badenoch was on fire though yesterday. Yeah. We've got to admit she was good in the House.
Yeah, and I loved her outfit as well. Actually,
yeah, she looked lovely.
But what I will say as well, when it comes to the Labour Party, is all of these people that are the runners and riders, they've all sat and backed the bad decisions of this government. How can you take any of them seriously? And that's the same problem the Tory front bench have got. They presided over the decline of the country. So whoever Labour Party end up with, unless it's the radical backbencher that's fallen out with the
you've
government.
opened yourself up for it, Jamie, because a number of those front benchers who you say saw the decline of the country and the Conservatives are now Reform MPs.
Well, actually, if you look at their record, and Nigel has been very selective of who he allows into our party. If you look at Robert Jenrick, he resigned over the #1 issue, which was immigration. Suella did all she could, especially when it comes to the hate marches. No one backed her. They've been very open about this, and they would accept themselves. I think Suella Braverman was the first Tory to actually apologise for the state of the country. But the truth is, if you look at the Labour Party and compare that to what the Tories did to our country, what they have done is significantly worse in a ramped-up period of time. Abolishing jury trials. These people have gone out and defended it. Getting rid of the winter fuel payment. These people went and defended it. And I could go on and on. I really don't see how any of those front bench Labour colleagues of Keir Starmer could possibly have the brass neck to say to the British people that they've got a plan to save the country when they have literally systematically been a part of some of the worst decline this country has seen.
Just before we let you go, Jamie, what's your reaction to the breaking news this morning that Angela Rayner has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over her tax affairs? It's good timing for her, isn't it, if she wants to throw her hat in the ring?
Have you ever been at an airport and thought, I'm 100% going to miss that flight, and then by some miracle you end up getting on and you sit on a plane, you think, how did that happen? Yeah. I think that's exactly what's gone on there.
OK. Jamie, thank you very much.
Right, lots more still to come on all of this, but although it might seem like it's a dismal day for the Prime Minister today, what's the weather actually going to do for you? Here's Annie.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that will be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards Northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some sunshine here and there. You can see some gaps between the showers, but the brighter colours show that they could be quite heavy if you do get caught in one. Those showers do tend to die away into the evening, though, with clearer skies developing quite widely, particularly across western areas. It's the northwest that will be the chilliest overnight tonight. Meanwhile, across the east, we've got an area of low pressure bringing more in the way of rain and cloud to eastern coast. So slightly milder here, quite a lot of cloud around, but still a cold northerly wind coming down the North Sea here. So for Friday, I think for most of us, it's going to be a drier day with high pressure coming in just for a time. So that means fewer showers, not entirely dry. You can see there's still a few showers here and there, particularly across the south coast later in the day. And across the east, it will still feel chilly with that northerly wind persisting into the afternoon. So temperatures here closer to 10 or 11 degrees. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, is Angela Rayner on the cusp of launching her own leadership campaign? Well, she had just been cleared of any wrongdoing by HMRC, so it'd be good timing for her if she does. Will she give Wes Streeting a run for his money? We're going to be talking about all of this next with Stanley Johnson.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
it's 7:22, and let's talk to a guest this morning who's got a bit of an insight into all of this in various ways, because he's a former MEP, he's an author, and he is the dad of a former Prime Minister who's been in a similar situation. Stanley Johnson, good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here. What is surprising, chatting in the break, is that, I mean, you basically come on as a supporter of Keir Starmer.
I saw what total damage the Tory party did to itself when it got rid of Boris. As far as I could see, it was a kind of ruthless assassination, and actually the Tory party just did not recover for a very long time. Now, you could say, as a Conservative supporter, why would I worry if the Labour Party disintegrates as a result of this? Well, I think that this sort of situation, you have to say, actually, party doesn't come first, country comes first. And if I look at the damage which lies out there, the potential damage on any of the scenarios, except for Starmer staying in power, I flinch. I'm horrified. I look at what the bond market was already doing yesterday, the prospect of another
But then if you're going to follow the line of saying you put country before party, which is what we were told ahead of the general election was what they were going to do, then surely the Prime Minister would look at where we are and say, I'm not doing a very good job, it's time for me to go.
If I were the Prime Minister, I wouldn't say that. I would look, for example, at the King's speech. You know, the poor King, if I might say, use those words, was rather, as you were, shovelled aside, and he made a very, very good speech. I think there were 19 or 35, I can't remember now,
35,
specific promises the government was making. They added up to something quite sensible. For me, as you know, you introduced me as a former MEP. Well, I was not only a former MEP, I spent years and years working for the European Commission. Honestly, I believe if one thing went wrong with the British economy over the last few years, it is this absence, this break with Europe. And what was revolutionary, if you like, about the King's speech was the clear statement he made about the willingness to rejoin Europe in some sense. I think we'll get there in the end in terms of the common market and the customs union, but at least this is a really important first step. And I worry that that key economic and political gesture, key, by the way, in geopolitical terms as well, is going to get drowned out in the furore of an election.
But Stanley, that makes people very, very nervous getting closer to the EU. They voted to leave the EU in their droves, and they feel as though it's a betrayal of Brexit.
I look at the polls, you look at the polls. All the polls I've seen for the last year show a very clear majority of people wanting to get back in touch with Europe. And correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am wrong. So it was a knife-edge vote back in 2016. It would not be a knife-edge vote today, I believe.
Well, except we're seeing... this is where polls are very difficult, because, yes, there's always been... You say, in the aftermath of Brexit, the polls always seem to indicate that more people actually would not have voted that way. However, now we're seeing a real surge in the polls for reform. Now, you're not going to get very many people who say, I'd support reform, but I'd vote to go back into the EU, are you? I mean, it'd be surprising if you did.
Well, I'm not going to be bemused by this rush of enthusiasm for reform. I was at a party the other day, and I do know Nigel Farage. Actually, I rather like him. You might say he's a cheery chappy. So I said to Nigel, as far as I'm concerned, I think you've got two things which would really get you going. You need to be pro-Europe and you need to be pro-environment.
That went down well.
Nigel moved on.
I'm sure he did.
So the next.
Stanley, we're now facing a situation, though, aren't we, of 6 prime ministers in 7 years. Do you think this is the culture that we are now a part of, that we just flip prime ministers and none of them will serve any more than 18 months to 2 years?
Well, you make my point. You make my point. I mean, I say, at this stage, you have to say what is good for the country, and what is good for the country is not another great kerfuffle as we try to get a new prime minister. And it'll be the worst outcome. Any outcome you can see will be worse than the current one. That's how I see it.
But is this an argument to say, either the system's broken or we're not getting the right people at the top. I mean, the last sort of long-serving Prime Minister we had really was David Cameron.
Well,
I mean, no disrespect to Boris, but and it was a very difficult time when he was in office with COVID and all the rest of it. But perhaps we've had a succession of leaders who have not been able to deliver what the country needs.
I'm not going to support that one because I do think, as I said right at the beginning, that the Tory party did a completely unnecessary assassination of Boris, and it has paid the price. It did pay the price at the following elections, and it's continuing to pay the price now. I think I stand where I began here. I would prefer not to have an election at all. I would prefer Starmer to win. I prefer Starmer, with the support he has of a very large parliamentary majority, to press on now and do some of the good things the King outlined yesterday. That's where I am on this.
But the leadership challenge looks to be inevitable, Stanley, and Sir Keir Starmer, as much as you may like him, is polling as the most unpopular Prime Minister in history.
He is going to fight. He is, as I understand it, he has a de facto right to be a candidate, and I understand he's going to exercise that right. And I would put a little bit of money on him not losing. How about that?
OK. Well, you know, if money's where your mouth is, that says a lot, Stanley. Looks really good to see you this morning.
Very nice to be here.
Thank you, Stanley. Let us know what you think. You will certainly have a view on all of that. gbnews.com/yoursay.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Interesting. All right, still to come, we're going to be back in Downing Street, because that's where the action could well be happening in the next few hours. And Catherine Forster is there.
Yes, well, here we go again, potentially. We're heading towards a sixth Prime Minister in just 7 years. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, and expected to announce his leadership bid today. And now Angela Rayner, former Deputy PM, has been cleared by the HMRC.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M6 northbound in Staffordshire, all lanes are closed between junctions 14 and 15 due to a collision, causing 50-minute delays. Normal flow is expected by 8:15 this morning. On the M1 southbound in Hertfordshire, lanes are restricted due to a collision, with conditions returning to normal around 8:45. And on the trains, East Midlands railway services are replaced by buses between Barton-on-Humber and Cleethorpes, while London Overground faces disruption between Clapham Junction and Dalston Junction. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Now, do stay with us. Angela Rayner has just been cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to her tax affairs. Now, this is just hours before Wes Streeting is expected to resign from Cabinet and launch his own leadership bid. So anything could happen this morning.
Well, it could. It's interesting. We keep saying this, that we expect Wes Streeting to resign this morning. Is that what he went in yesterday to tell the Prime Minister?
It certainly could have been that way. It was a very short conversation. You can't imagine it was a very kiss and make up and cuddly conversation.
I don't think so, no. But it's, we expect it to happen, but I mean, you never say never. Meanwhile, the government, though, is sort of in denial a little bit.
No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party. And let me tell you why I think that. I think it would bring huge instability and it would mean that we would be looking inward as a party.
Well, let's cross now to GB News chief political correspondent Catherine Forster, who is live outside Downing Street for us. Morning again to you, Catherine. James Murray there saying he doesn't want to see a leadership election, but it looks as though it may be inevitable.
Yes, they certainly don't want to see it. The Prime Minister's message is that he is going nowhere. He will fight any challenge and fundamentally saying, don't do this. It's going to plunge the party and by extension the country into chaos. It would take weeks or months. This is a government who was elected to bring change, to make people better off. They've just had a catastrophic beating in elections in England, Wales and Scotland. If they now get bogged down in a leadership election, how is that going to look to the public? But it seems that many Labour MPs are not listening. They've just had enough. They've decided that the Prime Minister is toxic for them. They're worried about losing their seats and they want him gone. So this morning, and worth saying that Wes Streeting's aides, who normally are pretty helpful, have absolutely gone very, very quiet indeed. So we will only know this happens when it happens. But what we are expecting is that the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, will resign this morning. There's NHS figures coming out at about 9:30. They will no doubt pick the best bits from that. But that Wes Streeting will then resign and saying he is challenging the Prime Minister for the leadership. To do that, he needs 81 MPs to sign publicly a letter. He then has to approach the NEC. Number 10 is still not entirely convinced that Wes Streeting has those numbers, but we are likely to find out soon. The other big news this morning is that Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, has been cleared by HMRC over any deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness over the fact that she owed £40,000 in stamp duty on a flat that she bought on the south coast of England. She has now paid that debt. She's given some interviews this morning saying that she felt bruised by the whole experience and that also it worried her that people might have felt that she was in it for herself. So she is potentially back in the running too. There's no way that Wes Streeting is going to be the only person to stand. There will be somebody from the left, whether it be Angela Rayner, whether it be Ed Miliband, whether it be Andy Burnham. The Mayor of Greater Manchester, of course, the big problem he has, he doesn't have a seat. We keep hearing that he's got somebody lined up. We're hearing now that Afzal Khan, who is the Manchester Rusholme MP, a long-time ally of Andy Burnham, may be prepared to stand down. Even if he does, The NEC may not let Andy Burnham stand. They blocked him in Gorton and Denton. The timetable for a leadership contest might mean that he doesn't have time to fight a by-election and get in. And even if all those hurdles are overcome, that seat is currently projected to go to the Greens if there was a general election tomorrow by a whopping 50% of the vote. So we really don't know what happens next, but it looks very much like we could be heading towards a sixth Prime Minister in just 7 years.
I mean, what I was intrigued by, Catherine, is James Murray saying that we shouldn't be having this at all now, because what we should be doing is focusing on the crises that we're facing. I mean, there's international crises, but ultimately there's cost of living, there's defence, there's all these issues. I mean, my point, which he didn't really answer, to be fair, is that if you'd focused on those already, we wouldn't be in this position, would we?
Well, the government would say they're doing a whole load of things that will bring positive change. They'll say, look at the renters' rights reforms, look at the workers' rights bill. They're doing a lot of long-term infrastructure investment that I think most people would welcome. But of course, the long-term stuff is going to take years and years to begin to show any benefit to the public, and the public want change now. So many people are convinced that Sir Keir Starmer is the problem, but there is no unity whatsoever in Labour about who should take his place. I mean, I spoke to a minister yesterday who was in absolute despair. There's plenty of Labour MPs that just cannot believe that they're going to do this and do this now. But then on the other hand, I spoke to a Red Wall MP who just went, we've got to get rid of him. We've got to get rid of him, even though they don't know what comes next. Somebody else said to me that he thought that if Angela Rayner ran, that her whole campaign would implode. We may not have very long till we find out.
OK, Catherine Forster there in Downing Street. Thank you so much.
Right, still to come for you, the Prime Minister is yet to respond to the news that Angela Rayner has been cleared over her tax affairs. Will we hear anything from Number 10 today? Very difficult to say. We're going to talk through this whole situation and have a look at some newspapers with Charlotte Griffiths and James Heal in a moment.
But first, here's your forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away over the next couple of days? Well, there's some very unsettled weather across Central Europe with thunderstorms and large hail, and that is pushing further south. But for the Canary Islands, it's relatively dry, some brighter spells into parts of Spain as well as Italy. That unsettled weather is pushing down from Central Europe through the rest of this week. It does look like it will get a little bit drier into next week and over the weekend, however, and temperatures will finally lift up a bit as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Today is Victory in Europe Day. Hostilities will end officially at 1 minute after midnight tonight, Tuesday, the 8th of May.
This historic proclamation by Winston Churchill was a moment for the nation to rejoice. Celebrations were held across Europe to mark the end of the Second World War. 81 years on, V-Day is commemorated. At Deangate Care Home in Barnsley, a special party was held to honour those who helped defeat the Nazis all those decades ago and to thank veterans at the home.
We are a veteran-friendly home, and I like to showcase all of our veterans at any time of the year, and VE Day is just a perfect reason, really, to really put them on a pedestal and show everybody how good our veterans are and the local community is. We should be so thankful for what they've done.
For the veterans here, the sacrifices of those who gave their today for our tomorrow should never be forgotten.
The main thing is that my father's medals, which I wear on my right side, is just a tribute to him and that he served all the way through the Second World War. And, of course, myself, when I served 22 years afterwards.
I think it was vital that they remembered this VE Day and, that we carried it on.
Their dad was the only one left out of 5 in that tank. So he was injured in there, and he was in the 8th Army under Montgomery's division.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
"7:43, let's go through the papers and, well, just the news of the day, really, with editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, and the deputy political editor at The Spectator, James Heal. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Where do we start?
Where do we start?
Who do we start with? Do we start with Angela Rayner or do we start with Wes Streeting? Take your pick, James.
I'll start with Angela Rayner, who's making the news this morning, having been cleared by HMRC. And, of course, this is all exquisite timing because there seems to be a consensus in the Labour Party that there's going to be one candidate from the right, which is Wes Streeting, and one candidate from the soft left. And there was a lot of discussion in Westminster last night that actually Angela Rayner, the wind has gone out of her sails. There isn't the momentum behind her campaign. So what does she need? She needs a good news story. And voila, this morning we get the news she's been cleared by HMRC. It looks like she'll take the soft left slot at the moment because Andy Burnham is out of Parliament and Ed Miliband is in two minds about standing.
I'm fascinated by the fact that the news dropped this morning. Can I just actually ask you a question, James? Has she known about this for a long time and then she's decided to choose this morning to drop it? Because the timing is so coincidental, isn't it?
I mean, I think she had a steer for a while that she was going to be fine on this and they were waiting for it to be cleared. I don't know exactly when else she found out, and I think it doesn't really go out in the Guardian story, which has broken the news. But I certainly think that she needs to get a good news story out here, and it's very convenient. And I'm sure that when she does her next interview, she'll be very much asked that same question, which is when exactly did she find out? Because it's not too clear from the ITV and Guardian pieces she's done this morning.
Yeah. Would there been pressure on HMRC to have a
sort this out?
Yeah, to sort this out by today.
I mean, look, the authority will say we followed the usual process, and I'm sure they did, but there's always pressure, certainly, and it was clearly a very public demand, and I think we've seen lots of these kind of stories in recent years.
What do you make, Charlotte, of... I mean, we talked, as you heard, to James Murray earlier on, and all we're getting from ministers, I know they're a bit hamstrung at the moment, but is... No, this shouldn't be happening. No, Keir Starmer's the right man to lead the ship. It seems like they're ignoring reality, right? And I just wonder, why aren't they saying, all right, looks like this is going to happen, this is what we should be defending, this is what Keir has to defend, rather than sort of going, oh, it's not happening.
Nothing to see here.
He literally said that, didn't he? He said, what are you talking about, Stephen, or something?
Yes.
I thought it was amazing that he cited Rachel Reeves as his kind of defence of the government and said that people are frustrated that there hasn't been change. The whole campaign was on change, and now it's been 2 years. And he's saying, well, I don't understand why this has happened.
I'll tell you what struck me as well, because when we've challenged them about change and things, up until about 3 weeks ago, the one thing every minister said on this programme was, well, just look at waiting lists. Waiting lists are down, waiting lists are down. And now they say, well, we need to do more on waiting lists. And I've noticed that. Is that because the only sort of positive thing they've got to point to is something Wes Streeting's done?
That'll be very much a part of the rhetoric, yeah, certainly. I mean, they've obviously been a huge amount of investment in the NHS. That's been the big gamble, actually, this government. They put $29 billion at the last spending review into the NHS. And, of course, who's the person riding high at the moment? It's the health minister. And we've obviously got those NHS statistics out later today. I mean, Wes Streeting was due to give his big speech today. I suspect they'll show a good news story for him, but I suspect it's all going to be about whether he resigns or not.
So if he fires that starting gun today, Will it be before or after that speech, do you think?
Well, I mean, I think that...
he's not giving it, is he?
Yeah, he's not giving the speech anymore. I think that the question is about what time... Does he have the 81 names necessary to trigger a ballot?
Does he have the numbers?
Yeah, I mean, precisely. I mean, there's basically about 90 MPs calling for the Prime Minister to go, but of course they're from different factions, different wings. They wouldn't necessarily back West Streeting. And there's been a lot of misinformation about this being spread, which is that, you know, oh, you can back someone and then they can transfer your vote. Yes, you can transfer your vote, but only if that candidate drops out. So you're not going to get soft left people backing West Streeting because then they can't drop out until he does. And I think Wes has always wanted the premiership and he's not going to drop out anytime soon.
Which is why you need a stalking horse.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny that Angela Rayner keeps saying we all need to pull together at a time like this. It's just the irony. I mean, not the irony, it's kind of a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah,
and yes, and the stalking horse, that kind of came and went very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. The whole thing was just calamitous, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you can tell by the King's face, by the way.
Yeah,
I know
you
that
could.
he's supposed to look neutral, but I'm sure I could see him eye-rolling. Or somehow, without actually moving his eyes, if such a thing is possible.
But we had reports, didn't we, which it was extraordinary reporting, Charlotte, that Buckingham Palace had to ring number 10 the night before the King's speech to say, essentially, are we still on for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Do you still need the King? Because we have a Prime Minister who may not even be Prime Minister in a few months' time.
Yeah, and I got the impression from the reporting that the aides were not only saying, are we still on for tomorrow, but, you know, they really didn't want it to be on. They wanted to cancel it, I think, because obviously they saw what was going to happen this week. And it was embarrassing for the King, you know, making him read that out. Of course, he has no choice but to read out 37 bills. But, you know, it's embarrassing. It made a fool of him, really, in a way.
And dragging the King into politics as well, which is the one thing the Palace always wants to avoid, and so they're trying to look after their principal.
But in a way, if for some reason, I mean, the King had decided to send a representative instead, it would have also looked a bit like he was dabbling in politics, wouldn't it? By saying, if there's chaos, I don't want to be involved in it.
Yeah,
or he couldn't win.
Or if it had been cancelled, it would have totally looked like he couldn't win, and the whole thing has been deeply embarrassing, and it does make a laughing stock of our nation. And actually, we're very good at pomp and ceremony. That's the one thing we're good at, that you imagine other countries would look at the ceremony at this King's speech yesterday and think, gosh, you know, what an amazing country. But actually, no, it looked like a complete joke in retrospect. And all that ermine just makes it look more like a sort of comedy disaster zone.
The Chancellor's just gone into Downing Street.
Oh.
She's walked down Downing Street this morning, and as you can imagine, as you will have seen over the last few days, reporters shout a lot at them. But she's answered back.
Oh.
She was asked if she was worried about the impact of a potential leadership race on the economic policies. And she said, Labour MPs have got an important decision to make today. But the numbers show the economy is growing, etc., etc., etc. Decisions I made as Chancellor to improve the economy, we shouldn't put that at risk.
An important decision to make.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting that she said that for the first time. That is kind of firing the starting gun. Who would have thought it would have come from Rachel?
Well, I think that it's a couple of things, one of which is she obviously presumably to be the Prime Minister to see talk about the GDP growth figures. Obviously, I suspect the leadership will very much be dominating the sort of background of that conversation. The second point, as you say, is that, you know, she is trying to position herself, I think, for post-Starmer life, which is that there's been briefings in the FT suggesting allies want her to stay on to kind of look after the situation facing our economy. There's been some suggestions that actually if your soft left person wins, they will commit to keeping Rachel Reeves there as a way of ensuring stability with the bond markets. But yeah, I mean, as I think those comments suggest, she is reflecting political reality, which is that Labour MPs do have an important decision to make today. Are they going to put forward a candidate at a time when number 10 is very much insisting we plough on, we're going to fight to win?
Excuse me, it's interesting, isn't it, when it comes to bond markets? Because it's stuff we don't know. We don't know what it all is, do we, as ordinary people? We don't know how it all works. But it affects the entire economy.
Yeah.
But do we let these markets dictate what we do? Because I mean, we know that the bond market is significantly down over all these challenges to the Prime Minister because it's instability. But would you be driven to keep Rachel Reeves to satisfy the bond markets or not? I mean, it doesn't seem very like we're having any say on any of it. As individual citizens.
It was very unhelpful in the Telegraph today when a Swiss bank said it would be good night Britain, and you know that is embarrassing actually. So I think you would allow them to have some influence, yeah.
But a lurch to the left would not be good for the markets, would it, James?
No, it wouldn't, and that's something they've all got to be very mindful of, which is that we've contracted out our future to other people, and those are ultimately a bunch of faceless, anonymous people trading numbers on a screen. But whether that argument is getting through remains to be seen. You've seen people like Paula Barker with the Liverpool MP suggesting the markets are going to have to come to heel. I'm not exactly how she's going to enforce that. But ultimately, this is a question of economics, but also politics as well.
Can I ask about... Oh, it's gone straight out of my head what I was going to ask. Well, it wasn't really about Kemi. Oh, well,
I
go on
love
then.
talking about Kemi.
Go on then.
Let's talk about Kemi yesterday, because there are some people saying that she was unparliamentary because it was meant to be light, wasn't it? Usually it's meant to be humorous, isn't it? That those speeches after the King's speech. She took the opportunity to attack, to fillet the front bench. What did you make of it, Charlotte?
I loved the attack. I loved it when she said, "Do your job, do your job," and I just think she just really has come into her own.
Well,
and I quite liked it.
She was bullshit, and I get it, and it was great telly.
Yeah.
But she wants Starmer to go. But she's criticising the person who's likely to get Starmer out.
Well, I think that she's trying to play her cards to the best of her ability. She set out an alternate King's speech at the beginning of the week, lots of good policy in that. She's trying to use this occasion to highlight the ridiculousness of it. Ultimately, she didn't make the King's speech an absolute joke. It was the actions of the Labour front bench, and she's every right to go there and criticise them, and actually, after a difficult set of election results last week, try and frame it in the best possible light for her.
I suppose if Wes gets in, it's unhelpful for her, so it kind of suited her to be uncomplimentary about Wes as well.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because the Tories are publicly saying that the Prime Minister should go, but privately, surely it wouldn't be in their interest for the Prime Minister to go, because he could be replaced by a much more popular figure.
I've spoken to a lot of Conservative MPs. I mean, the single advice I'd ever give the Labour Party is that the person that Conservatives and Reform fear most, I believe, is Wes Streeting. Whether that has any cut through or not remains to be seen, but I think a lot of Conservatives are in two minds. They're saying, on the one hand, Starmer is bleeding out support, he's a great recruiting sergeant. On the other hand, if they change, it's also going to kind of break that link between the people and the Prime Minister. And ultimately, Keir Starmer was put in by the people, and then there'll be calls for a general election. That's something that Nigel Farage very much wants to amplify. If you then have someone changing without an election, I think that will probably help his case for a 2027 contest.
All right, you two, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
We'll see you in an hour. We've got Mel Stride, haven't we, the Shadow Chancellor, coming on
We do.
at the top of the next hour.
Put this to him.
Be interesting.
Certainly will be. In the meantime, let's get a check on the weather with Annie Shuttleworth.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that'll be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning, as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards Northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some sunshine here and there. You can see some gaps between the showers, but the brighter colours show that they could be quite heavy if you do get caught in one. Those showers do tend to die away into the evening, though, with clearer skies developing quite widely, particularly across western areas. It's the northwest that will be the chilliest overnight tonight. Meanwhile, across the east, we've got an area of low pressure bringing more in the way of rain and cloud to eastern coast. So slightly milder here, quite a lot of cloud around, but still a cold northerly wind coming down the North Sea here. So for Friday, I think for most of us it's going to be a drier day with high pressure coming in just for a time. So that means fewer showers, not entirely dry. You can see there's still a few showers here and there, particularly across the south coast later in the day. And across the east, it will still feel chilly with that northerly wind persisting into the afternoon. So temperatures here closer to 10 or 11 degrees. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for making GB News Radio such a huge success. Whether you're in the car, on the go, or listening at home, thank you for choosing us as your radio station.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the M4 eastbound at junction 33 near Capel Lanelturn, congestion affects 4 lanes. In Northamptonshire, traffic is slow on the A43 southbound near Silverstone with 10-minute delays. All lanes are closed on the M6 northbound between junctions 14 and 15 in Staffordshire due to a serious collision, expected to clear by 9:15 a.m. And on the trains, buses replace services between Barton-on-Humber and Cleethorpes, while London Overground faces disruptions between Clapham Junction and Dalston Junction via Denmark Hill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
£76,543 and 21 pence in tax-free cash could be yours this summer. That's totally tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. And remember, because it's totally tax-free cash, you'll get to keep every single penny. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, the breaking news this morning, Angela Rayner cleared by HMRC of wrongdoing over her tax affairs.
And there are already rumours that she's planning to launch her own leadership challenge. But the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, shut down reports of a leadership challenge on the programme just over an hour ago.
Well, I think she also said to The Guardian that she wouldn't be triggering a contest. So that's clear that she is not going to get involved in triggering that.
Well, it's all just hours before Wes Streeting, we expect, will ignite a day of Labour anarchy by resigning and launching his own bid. But as Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch put it, shouldn't he just get on with the job?
But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to.
Well, that's what Kemi Badenoch thinks, but what do Wes Streeting's constituents think? I'm here in Ilford North, finding out if they think Wes Streeting would make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Wes Streeting is not the only one eyeing up number 10. Andy Burnham, Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband could now throw their hats in the ring, especially with that breaking news regarding Angela Rayner and her tax affairs. She could now launch a leadership campaign.
Well, it is all to play for, and yet the government seems to be still in some sort of denial.
On what, sorry? No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party.
Well, Labour campaigned in the last general election promising to stop the chaos when Tory leaders were switched over and over. Yet they are now engaged in their own civil war, and it looks like only a matter of time until Wes Streeting says that he's challenging the Prime Minister.
Good morning. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today. The showers could be quite heavy. They bring a risk of hail and thunder. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello. This is GB News Breakfast.
Well, our top story this morning, the breaking news from earlier on, is that Angela Rayner has now been cleared of any wrongdoing in relation to her tax affairs. Interesting timing, because it comes just hours before Wes Streeting is expected to resign from the Cabinet and launch a leadership bid.
Well, I welcome HMRC's conclusion and they've said that there wasn't any wrongdoing and that I didn't try to avoid paying tax or I wasn't careless in the way in which I conducted myself at the time, and I've never wanted to avoid paying my tax. And for me, that was the most distressing thing, is that people felt that I was tax dodging or trying to set up trusts to avoid tax or being careless by not taking the appropriate advice, and HMRC have concluded that isn't the case.
But the government seems to be in denial about the potential of a leadership challenge.
No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party. And let me tell you why I think that. I think it would bring huge instability and it would mean that we would be looking inward as a party.
Well, meanwhile, Stanley Johnson, Boris Johnson's dad, warned that constantly changing leaders is destabilising.
I saw what total damage the Tory party did to itself when it got rid of Boris. As far as I could see, it was a kind of ruthless assassination, and actually the Tory party just did not recover for a very long time. Now, you could say, as a Conservative supporter, why would I worry if the Labour Party disintegrates as a result of this? Well, I think that this sort of situation, you have to say, actually, party doesn't come first, country comes.
Well, we can speak now to Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mel Stride. Sir Mel Stride. Very good morning to you, Sir Mel. Can we start with that breaking news regarding Angela Rayner being cleared of any wrongdoing by HMRC? Exquisite timing for her if she wants to throw her hat in the ring in regards to a leadership contest.
Yes, I think probably good news for Angela Rayner, but I think most people will still be curious as to how somebody who was formerly the Housing Secretary managed to end up in a position where she failed to pay £40,000 worth of tax on a property purchase. But nonetheless, yep, she's had that result today.
I wonder what you make of it. I mean, Boris Johnson's father, Stanley, saying, you've got to put country before party. He was talking in relation to the Labour Party. But nevertheless, what's your take on it? As you look at the markets, you look at the bond markets, you see what's happening. We know there's the instability at the moment is damaging our credibility on the international financial stage. This actually isn't good for the country, is it?
All this turmoil is very bad for the country, Stephen, because obviously you have a lot of challenges that we're leaning into, not least the Iranian war and the spike in oil prices and lots of pressures that our country has. And you're right, what's happening is this chaos is feeding into higher borrowing costs, higher gilt yields within the markets. And so that is a big pressure that we're facing that otherwise wouldn't be there to the same degree. But I think almost irrespective of whether there's all this noise is off around a leadership contest potentially, are a couple of basic facts that are a real problem for the country. One is that this government clearly never had a plan, particularly on the economy. It went into the last election saying it was going to bring stability, and it's done quite the opposite. And we've seen sluggish growth, high inflation, high unemployment, all of those undesirable things that have happened, people getting worse off. But also what has been exposed very early on, is that the Parliamentary Labour Party backbenchers do not have the backbone to actually take the decisions that the country needs. So, for example, getting on top of the welfare bill, getting people off welfare into work so that we can get taxes down on businesses and get growth going at the same time as bearing down on the deficit and the debt. So we've really, irrespective, I would say, of whoever ends up leading the Labour Party in the coming weeks and months, you can't get beyond the fundamental dysfunctionality, I'm afraid, of the Labour Party in Parliament.
But you must recognise the dysfunctionality, you must recognise the chaos and the infighting. It must take you right back to the later days of the Tory government. Is this just what we've become? Is this just political culture now, that it's infighting and chaos?
Well, I think, Ellie, you're absolutely right. Look, whoever is responsible in whatever period in our the history of governments of our country, you do not want instability. You don't want constant chopping and changing of leaders. I think that's absolutely right. I would argue very strongly that under Kemi Badenoch now, we have absolute unity in the Conservative Parliamentary Party. We have a thoroughly united shadow cabinet. We are working with Conservative principles to come up with deeply thought through solutions to the big challenges that we face as a country. We came out with our alternative King's Speech at the time of the King's Speech with 16 very thorough bills in there to address a lot of the challenges that we face. And that's the direction that my party is now firmly headed in. And I think if you contrast that with what's happening with Labour, the kind of populist, unplanned, unthought through giveaways that Reform will come out with, or indeed the Greens, I think we're in a good place, and we've got 3.5 years now to the general election to make sure that we get that message firmly through.
Yeah, what I'm really unclear about, though, Mel, is what you want to see happen. And don't give me the line, it's for Labour to decide. It's up to Labour what they do. We know that's a reality, but you've still got to have a view on this. You say stability is important, but what actually would you like to see happen? Would you like to see Keir Starmer booted out of number 10?
So, look, I'm sorry to disappoint you a bit, Stephen. I have to give that answer, I think, which is, whether it's Angela Rayner or Streeting or the Prime Minister stays or whatever, these are matters for the party. But the overarching point is very clear, and that is we do need stability. Look, we're a country that's not in a good place. We are facing all these extraordinary threats to our country. We've got to spend more on defence. We've got an ageing population we're going to have to support. We've got intergenerational unfairness in our country that needs addressing. We've got oil prices spiking. We need a strong economy, and we need a united, stable government. I'm afraid that's not what we've got. There's one other political point I would add, though, which is that I think we are seeing a drift to the left in the Labour Party. We're seeing a Prime Minister who's tacking to the left because he's having to appease those who are against him. And we have a lot of candidates out there, certainly in Angela Rayner, who I think are well to the left. And I think this whole path of extra borrowing and spending and taxing, which is so bad for our economy, is the direction of drift and travel that this party is going through. And that's not good.
But when you talk about stability, does that apply to the Chancellor as well, I wonder? Because she's been talking to reporters on Downing Street this morning where she said, apart from interestingly saying Labour MPs have got an important decision to make today, but she went on to say the economy is growing. Before we entered the conflict, the economy was growing strongly because of decisions I have made as Chancellor, and we shouldn't put that at risk. Well, that's a clear point, isn't it, of her saying, whatever happens, I want to keep the job.
Well, I think that's the sort of internal political machinations within the Labour Party. And I would take very strong dispute with this idea that Rachel Reeves has been responsible in any way for a strong economy. We've seen an economy that's been loaded up with debt. We've seen spending that's been going through the roof. We've seen a welfare bill that's been skyrocketing. We've seen unemployment going up. We have seen across the period very sluggish growth. And we've seen inflation that has seen us being an outlier, higher inflation than other similar countries at a time when inflation is now the big threat that we're leaning into with increased oil prices. So I think the record on the economy of this government has been absolutely abysmal.
OK. Mel Stride, really good to see you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Good to get your perspectives. I mean, it is to be fair, you talk to any opposition party at the moment, and it is a bit of an open goal. When you, I mean, to be fair, the Tories took their kicking when it was happening with them.
Well, they will recognise everything that's going on.
The Labour Party could come on and say whatever they wanted, couldn't they? And it's pretty much the same for the Tories now. You know, it's and for Reform, and for anybody else, frankly, that, you know, it's unravelling. And so it's an open goal.
Yeah, it really is. Should we cross over to Downing Street now, where Catherine Forster, our chief political correspondent, is standing by to talk to us. And Catherine, it could be another dramatic day on Downing Street. We're expecting Wes Streeting to resign, if the briefing is to be believed. We've also had this breaking news about Angela Rayner and her tax affairs.
Ready to go to the barricades for him. Some of them believe
yes, here we go again. It looks very much like we may be heading towards our 6th Prime Minister in just 7 years, and Labour got elected promising to end the chaos. They are now indulging in the exact sort of infighting that they slated the Conservatives for. At the moment, Downing Street say basically nothing to see here. There is no challenge, but we do expect that to change today. We expect the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, he was here for just 16 minutes yesterday, to mount a leadership challenge to resign as Health Secretary. Allies believe that he's got those 81 names that are critical to doing that. We will find out, I think, pretty soon. The other big news, of course, is that Angela Rayner, who was Deputy Prime Minister but had to stand down in the autumn over £40,000 of unpaid stamp duty on a flat in the South Coast, has been cleared by HMRC of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness. She has settled that £40,000 bill, but she hasn't had to pay a penalty. Of course, that's £40,000 that the Treasury now has, that the government now has to spend, that it's only got because the media dug into that and exposed that. So, you know, this is £40,000. The government is very short of money, £40,000 that we nearly didn't have. So Angela Rayner now potentially could run. We don't know whether she will. She has apparently told some MPs that she wouldn't wish to stand against the Prime Minister. At the moment, the line from number 10 is, I will take anybody on. If you challenge me, I am going to stay and fight. But they're saying, don't do this, don't plunge the country into chaos. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has been out here this morning talking about growth figures of 0.6% in the first quarter of this year, and she has said that we shouldn't put that at risk by plunging the country into chaos. But is the Labour Party listening? They are having a collective nervous breakdown following those catastrophic results in the local elections in England and in Scotland and Wales. And what of the Mayor of Manchester, Andy Burnham? Currently, Ladbrokes has him at 2-1 to be the next Prime Minister. Wes Streeting at 4-1, Angela Rayner at 9-2. He doesn't even have a seat at the moment, though again we are hearing that somebody, perhaps Afzal Khan in Manchester Rusholme, might stand down. He'd then have to see if he could be selected. He would then have to win, and all of the timetable, we simply don't know what comes next.
Catherine Forster, live for us outside Downing Street. Thank you so much.
Well, of course, a lot of it hinges right now on Wes Streeting, because for anything to happen, someone has to challenge the Prime Minister. They've got to have the numbers for a kick-off, 80 MPs plus themselves, and they've got to launch a leadership bid, which would require him, you know, in all likelihood, to resign from his job as Health Secretary. Where would that leave him? What do his constituents in Ilford North make of all of that? He's actually got a wafer-thin majority. Let's head to our national reporter, Will Godley, who's there for us. What are they telling you, Will?
Well, good morning to you both from Ilford North. This has been Wes Streeting's constituency since 2015, but back in 2024, when Labour won that landslide victory in the general election, Wes Streeting only won a majority here of 528 seats, a real slimline majority. And of course, if he's going to mount a leadership contest, he's going to be hoping for a lot more support in this coming contest. But to mount any leadership election, he would need 81 Labour MPs to support him. Does he have that support yet? Well, only he knows for now. But of course, Wes Streeting will be jostling for support with other candidates as well. Reportedly, Ed Miliband wanting to throw his hat into the ring, as is Angela Rayner, as Catherine had been saying, cleared of her tax wrongdoings this morning by the HMRC. Will she be throwing her hat into the ring? Now, the Prime Minister is saying that any leadership contest would throw us into chaos, and he's also said yesterday he's got his full confidence in Wes Streeting as Health Secretary, but do his constituents here in Ilford North have confidence in him that he'd make a good Prime Minister?
I do think he would make a good Prime Minister, but I'm just think he's been a little bit backhanded because he said he wasn't interested in the job previously.
To be honest with you, I think he's the least bad option.
I don't think he's got the experience. And, what makes him think that he's better than Keir Starmer?
I don't think he'd do it properly. I don't think he'd listen to the people of this country.
Well, I would like the current Prime Minister to be on the job, because I don't want a general election now, and I don't want any other person, really.
I think if Keir Starmer was disastrous, it's difficult to go beyond disastrous as far as bad is concerned. But I think when you look that up in the dictionary, it's got Wes Streeting by the name.
Well, a mixed view there from Wes Streeting's constituents here in Ilford North. Of course, he won the seats with a wafer-thin majority. One person who I spoke to, who didn't want to be on camera, told me he even wondered whether Wes Streeting would even be re-elected. So perhaps any Wes Streeting leadership might be short-lived if he wasn't to be re-elected in any upcoming general elections. Wes Streeting, of course, would point out that it was his campaigning here in the local elections that helped Redbridge stay a Labour council, although the council here did lose 15 seats to independents and the Greens. But of course, for any of this to happen, well, Wes Streeting would have to fire the starting gun. His allies say he could do it as soon as today.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, thank you very much.
I think that lady made a fair point in it's saying, well, he shouldn't be doing it because he said he didn't want the job. You always get that. I mean, we had that from Boris Johnson, if you remember, when Theresa May was Prime Minister. They always say it. I don't know why they do it. No, I'm not interested. No.
But Wes Streeting has also not really made any secret of the fact that he has leadership ambitions at some point in the future.
Well, yeah.
But could that day be today?
It could be. Don't go anywhere, because as soon as it happens, if it happens, we'll bring you all the details. But in the meantime, let's see what the weather's going to do where you are.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that'll be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning, as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards Northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some sunshine here and there. You can see some gaps between the showers, but the brighter colours show that they could be quite heavy if you do get caught in one. Those showers do tend to die away into the evening, though, with clearer skies developing quite widely, particularly across western areas. It's the northwest that will be the chilliest overnight tonight. Meanwhile, across the east, we've got an area of low pressure bringing more in the way of rain and cloud to eastern coast. So slightly milder here, quite a lot of cloud around, but still a cold northerly wind coming down the North Sea here. So for Friday, I think for most of us it's going to be a drier day with high pressure coming in just for a time. So that means fewer showers, not entirely dry. You can see there's still a few showers here and there, particularly across the south coast later in the day. And across the east, it will still feel chilly with that northerly wind persisting into the afternoon. So temperatures here closer to 10 or 11 degrees. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, is Angela Rayner on the cusp of launching her own leadership bid? It's all to play for today. Are we about to witness an all-out civil war for the heart of the Labour Party? We're going to be talking about that next.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that, because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
It needs to
stop.
You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 25 minutes past 8 and we're joined now by the Financial Times political correspondent Anna Gross. Very good morning to you, Anna. We're expecting Wes Streeting, if the briefing is to be believed, to challenge the Prime Minister today, potentially quit as Health Secretary and start that leadership contest. Angela Rayner could also be in the running because she's been cleared by HMRC of wrongdoing regarding her tax affairs. What do you make of what we're seeing this morning?
Yeah, it's amazing timing on Rayner being cleared. It's hard to imagine that HMRC would have timed it for this. So it's just quite surprising that that's happened. But yeah, as you say, it's kind of all up in the air at the moment as as we understand it, the Health Secretary is very likely to launch some form of leadership bid today. We've also got Andy Burnham, the Manchester mayor, whose allies say he does have a seat in the offing that he is planning to contest, and that could be announced as early as today. And now there are some, but obviously it'll take time for him to actually come in and run for that seat if the National Executive Committee even allows him to do that. If in the meantime there are other potentially kind of soft left candidates who could step in for him. Angela Rayner, as you say, has made clear that she's a possibility. Also, Ed Miliband is signalling, former Labour leader and Energy Secretary, that he would be willing to sort of step in and take on that mantle as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because as much as we've had, we've had James Murray today, but a number of cabinet members who get wheeled out to say, no, nothing to see here. It's all, we just want stability. Keir Starmer's the best man for the job. Even down to people like Ed Miliband, you've got a number of significant people within cabinet who are very clearly saying, it's, if this starts, we think we can do a better job than the Prime Minister.
You're right, and the interesting thing this morning is that there's been some quite positive economic data that's come out. The economy grew 0.3% last month and 0.6% in the first quarter of the year. And figures from the Treasury, both the Chancellor Rachel Reeves and the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, are out there batting for the government, trying to make the counter argument, trying to say, look, if we descend into a leadership contest now, it's going to bring about a huge amount of instability. We're going to see markets respond very badly. Their argument is we're just about starting to steady the ship. We're just about getting the economy on a good track. And if you do this now, you're going to ruin all of our good work. And also, Wes Streeting is set to announce, or the government is set to announce, waiting list figures for the NHS, which again are expected to be quite positive. And Rachel Reeves was quite amusingly this morning sort of trying to take credit for those and saying the only reason those waiting lists have come down is because I put in £29 billion a year extra for the NHS. And so it's my choices, it's our choices that are bringing about these kind of positive results. So we're already starting to see those battle lines being drawn and the kinds of arguments that both sides are going to be making. And if a leadership contest is triggered today, as we expect, we're only going to see those battles intensify in the weeks and months to come.
Yeah, I was just to say, we just saw Darren Jones heading into number 10. Obviously, he's chief of staff to the Prime Minister. He's obviously right-hand man. He's obviously towing the Starmer line, as it were. Gathering his allies around him. Would you? We've had lots of people messaging in this morning and saying, look, it's now or never for Wes Streeting. If he doesn't do this today, then he's lost all chance of ever getting into number 10. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's probably is the case that if he doesn't do anything now, it will be incredibly damaging for him reputationally, and it's very hard to see. There's been all of this drama. The pitch has been very much rolled for him coming out and saying, I'm launching some form of leadership bid, whether it's right now or in the next few months. And if he bottles it, or if he says, I'm not going to do it now, it suggests, and I think a lot of people interpret it as signifying that he doesn't actually have the numbers. He doesn't have 81 MPs behind him willing to sign up and sign a letter saying, we support you and we'd like you to be the next leader. And if that's the case, it's very hard for him to make a credible argument going forward that he could be the next leader of the Labour Party and the next Prime Minister in waiting.
OK, Anna Gross, really good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on GB News Breakfast. I think that's very interesting about Darren Jones. He is the Prime Minister's right-hand man because I was stood in Downing Street yesterday. He was also there just minutes after Wes Streeting he appeared, choosing not to go through the front door but the side entrance. He didn't want to be seen by the media. Isn't it interesting that today he's decided to take the front entrance and walk past the world's press?
Everything is staged. It's the way of it.
It's all a decision.
It's all for the cameras. It's all for the cameras.
So he's supporting the Prime Minister, and as you say, the Prime Minister is surrounded by his supporters this morning. His right-hand man. There he is, walking into Downing Street this morning. Wonder what they'll be talking about behind closed doors.
Well, yeah.
Could be a busy morning for them. And that's the voice of Keith Bayes, I should say, as well, who is a member of our team and has the loudest voice in Downing Street.
Yes, he does, doesn't he?
It's amazing. And actually, the other media outlets were saying yesterday, I wish we had someone with a voice like that.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, because he's so loud. He's the only one you can hear.
But is he getting an answer?
Well, no, but the questions are great. Did you hear him the other day where Streeting came in? It wasn't yesterday, it was a few days ago. And he said, are you measuring up the curtains? Where's Streeting? And it went viral. Very good. Keith Bayes, everybody.
Oh, dear me, he's a character.
He is, he really is.
You've got to be to work here, to be fair. Right, now, if you're travelling to work or school, here's your traffic and travel update.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. On the A720 eastbound, the off-slip to Lasswade is partly blocked by debris. The M25 clockwise in Surrey has lane closures for a tyre change between junctions 10 and 11, causing delays. The M6 northbound in Staffordshire is fully closed between junctions 14 and 15 due to a severe collision, with delays expected until around 9:30. In Sunderland, the A19 northbound is down to one lane following a crash, with normal conditions forecast by 9:15. And on the trains, London Overground faces disruption between Clapham Junction and Dalston Junction via Denmark Hill. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Right, still to come. Could we see any of the key players in this political psychodrama enter the famous doors of Number 10 this morning? Well, I doubt it, because I don't think Wes Streeting is going to be announcing his leadership challenge from Number 10. They won't let him on, I wouldn't have thought. But Catherine's standing by just in case.
Good morning from Downing Street, the fourth day of high drama. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, has just been urging Labour MPs via the camera not to plunge the party and the country into chaos. But are they listening? It seems at the moment like they're not.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless.
I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
As soon as it hits 11 and the headlines come in,
The Late Edition brings you the breaking news from all the front pages.
because the news is going to happen.
So get a head start today.
Patrick Christie's tonight, Late Edition.
Alex Armstrong tonight, Late Edition. From 11 o'clock every night.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 8:37. Let's cross to GB News' chief political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who is live outside Downing Street for us, which could be another dramatic day on Downing Street. Catherine.
Yes, this is the fourth day in a row I've been on Downing Street. I must say, it feels like the middle of February. We had hail, we had rain. When the Prime Minister stepped out yesterday, the heavens opened, and it really reflects the mood here, although they are very much trying to keep calm and carry on. The message from James Murray, the Treasury Minister, earlier, there is no leadership challenge. Nobody has come forward with those 81 names yet, but we are expecting that the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is going to resign from that position this morning and mount a leadership challenge to the Prime Minister. He appears to have the numbers, though some people are still doubtful of that, given that apparently his allies were saying to people last night, vote for Wes, you can transfer your vote to somebody else later. That's not how this works. You cannot transfer your vote unless somebody then withdraws. So we will see what transpires. But in the meantime, Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, has been out in the street talking about growth figures of 0.6% and warning Labour MPs not to challenge the Prime Minister. She has said we shouldn't put the growth and the stability which she says that they have brought at risk by plunging the country into chaos. Of course, they got elected promising to stop the chaos, to stop the infighting, and yet at the moment they appear to be indulging in a civil war just exactly like the Conservatives did. They've started this off. Nearly 100 MPs have said publicly they want the PM out. We've had ministerial resignations too, and yet they are not united at all about who should take over. If and when Wes Streeting goes over the top, somebody from the left will put themselves forward too. It could be Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary. It could be Angela Rayner, because she has today been cleared by HMRC over deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness, and she has settled that £40,000 tax bill that she owed over stamp duty on a flat in Hove. Anything could happen. Even potentially Andy Burnham could finally find an MP to give up a seat and trigger a by-election.
OK, Catherine, thank you.
Meanwhile, we have just had a statement from Angela Rayner on X saying, I welcome HMRC's conclusion, which has cleared me of any wrongdoing. I've been exonerated by HMRC of the accusation that I deliberately sought to avoid tax. When purchasing a home of my own with a mortgage, I did not own any other property and had no personal financial interest in the court-instructed trust set up to manage my son's financial award. I was advised by experts that I should pay stamp duty at the standard rate. I set out to pay the correct amount of tax. I took reasonable care and I acted in good faith. based on the expert advice that I received. HMRC have accepted this. I've always sought to act with integrity. I believe politicians should be held to high standards. This is why I resigned from government and cooperated fully with HMRC. I wanted to ensure that I paid every penny that I owed, and I have done so. I'm relieved that my family can now move on and that I can get on with my job. That statement from Angela Rayner in the past 15 minutes or so on X.
Right, let's talk to Theo Usherwood from the Press Association, who joins us now. Theo, good morning to you. I mean, look, we are waiting for this all to officially start, but everyone, including Angela Rayner, are getting their ducks lined up in order.
Yes, you're quite right, and that is a crucial statement, as you read out there just a moment ago, Ellie, because, of course, this has been a millstone, this investigation around Angela Rayner's neck, because it's hindered her future ambitions, because she's not been able to move on from it, and there's always been a question mark about what comes next and whether she's got that clean bill of political health to move forward. The announcement today does provide that clarity. She's obviously got to pay the tax back, but she's been cleared by HMRC, and she's now able to enter the race without those further questions. Of course, I'm sure it will be used by her political opponents should she be successful in becoming Prime Minister. But for the time being, at least, she has that tick that she needs from HMRC to enter the race. And of course, we're waiting to hear from Wes Streeting as to whether he will stand. And exactly as Catherine was pointing out just a few moments ago, whether he actually has the number of MPs that he needs in order to trigger a contest, because it did come out last night, as Catherine was pointing to, that actually, unless somebody drops out of the race, you can't transfer the votes across. There'll also be speculation, I'm sure, about Andy Burnham. He's running out of time a bit, because, of course, he doesn't just need an MP to stand down, he also needs a majority on that small subcommittee of the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party to approve to approve him as the candidate. So you could end up with an MP and Andy Burnham.
And he's got to win it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then he's got to win it. And I'm sure, Nigel Farage, Zach Polansky will, if they've got any sense, both of them will throw everything at that by-election, because, of course, Andy Burnham would be a more formidable character at the next general election than Keir Starmer for many of his opponents. So it's just worth. There are so many moments, so many variables in this. It's very difficult to tell how today is going to play out.
It's a lot of if, buts and maybes, isn't it, Theo? Thank you very much.
Well, are we about to witness political history today? I mean, it sort of would be, because no sitting Labour leader has been kicked out.
Never been ousted,
yeah. The Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, on resignation watch. And GB News is live in his constituency.
Yes, good morning to you from here in Ilford North. I've been speaking to constituents who tell me they think Wes Streeting is a good local MP and would make a good Prime Minister. Meanwhile, others say they do not want to see him in charge. I'll have all the details a little bit later on.
Yeah, we'll be chatting to Will shortly, but first we're going to go through all the papers with Charlotte Griffiths and James Heal.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, are you heading away over the next couple of days? Well, there's some very unsettled weather across Central Europe with thunderstorms and large hail, and that is pushing further south. But for the Canary Islands, it's relatively dry, some brighter spells into parts of Spain as well as Italy. That unsettled weather is pushing down from Central Europe through the rest of this week. It does look like it will get a little bit drier into next week and over the weekend, however, and temperatures will finally lift up a bit as well. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday Five. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the
unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Scotland has 790 offshore islands, with 103,000 islanders populating around 100 of them. For the people that live and work there, ferries are a lifeline. Businesses need to transport stock, attractions rely on tourists, and islanders board for the everyday necessities found only on the mainland. But island communities grow increasingly frustrated at frequent cancellations and unscheduled maintenance, pushing the Caledonian McBrain fleet to its limit. As election campaigning got underway, CalMac announced a third of its fleet was out of action.
We are off to Arran just to see how much these maintenance woes impact islander lives.
Alistair Dobson runs Arran Ice Cream. A fourth-generation dairy business recently awarded the Golden Scoop Award.
If the ferry doesn't run, everything stops. All the other islands will say they've got a big tourism industry. Arran surpasses them all. You're then pitching tourists against locals, against commerce, because everybody's trying to get the same ferry space.
When 2 Arran ferries were delivered 7 years late and £350 million over budget, just for them to enter into a never-ending cycle of repairs, well, frustration swelled into fury. Election party solutions come in all shapes and sizes. The SNP pledges a £10 million resilience fund and will give local islanders board representation at CalMac. Lib Dems want to initiate a 30-year procurement plan, while the Tories would consider procuring vessels from elsewhere. Reform has pledged a 10-year renewal plan, while Labour seeks to merge CalMac and CMAL into a new publicly owned agency. And the Greens seek to extend public ownership to more ferries, ending the tendering system.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
We're going through the papers and the key stories of the day at 8:48 with Editor-at-Large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, and Deputy Political Editor at The Spectator, James Heal. Morning, morning, morning.
Morning.
What a day. The big question I've got with all of this is all hinging on someone going over the top. And we're all saying it's going to be Wes Streeting and he's going to do it today. But he might not.
Well, do you think he's going to bottle it now, especially after he did his walk up and down Downing Street?
Oh, he will today. He will.
He was very smirky
He must
yesterday.
have the numbers then.
I think
thinks he has the numbers.
I think only just by the sounds of things. But yeah, I think he's going to go for it now. He can't back out now. It's just too embarrassing.
Does he have the numbers, James?
I believe he will have the numbers when it comes to it. Yeah, I think that it's obviously been difficult at points, and there's a lot of people in the Labour Party who split between their head and their heart. Some of them would like a sort of slightly to the left leader doing Labour things, but they also know they can't win. Others are much more instinctively Blairite, which is what his politics very much are. So I think he will go over the top, yes.
Does that mean that we've got a list of, how many is it, 80-odd MPs who sort of say they're not happy and they want sort of Starmer to go, all set a timetable? This must mean there are a lot more, doesn't it? Because it can't be all of those saying they'll back Wes Streeting.
Well, this is the interesting thing. On Friday night, it started off as a kind of soft left kind of fit of angst and peak. Louise Haigh, who's on the soft left, former Transport Secretary, came out. You have people like Debbie Abrahams, who's seen as an ally of Andy Burnham. They were all coming out. And then sort of halfway through, we got suddenly a sort of people on the right of the party coming out. People like Gordon McKee, people like Zubir Ahmed, Wes Streeting's former ministerial aide. And that was very much sort of Blairite hijacking, as it were. And I think that does speak to the fact that there's a lot of anger across the party, but everyone's trying to game the system system and think who's going to stand to win. And right now, you've only got kind of 3 contenders on the pitch, and Andy Burnham's out of Parliament.
Has he missed the boat, do you think, James? Because we keep hearing, don't we, that he's got a seat and he's found an MP that's willing to stand down. Well, if he had one, wouldn't we have heard about it by now?
I think that's very much the case. I think it was quite striking to see, for instance, Paula Barker asked about, you know, if you've got a safe seat, are you going to stand down? She went, nope. And actually, where is safe right now? Because
where is safe?
I think it's Khan, who was in Manchester. He suggested, you know, what about that seat? That's been floated. He's saying no. But if you look at the polling right now, the Greens are predicted to take that seat with 50% of the vote. And so the Greens are now bullishly briefing, we're not going to stand down for Andy Burnham, and why would they?
Well, and this is the problem. It's a big gamble, isn't it? Because whoever stands down will be standing down on the promise of a peerage, one would presume. But if Andy Burnham doesn't win the seat, or wins the seat and doesn't win the leadership, they're not going to get their peerage. Reform could well end up winning the seat, or the Greens winning the seat, and also one of them winning the mayoralty as well. On that. So it could be like a complete and utter Labour disaster.
Yeah, no wonder people are sort of promising their seats and then bottling it at the last minute, because it is too much of a gamble, and people are inherently just a bit too selfish to actually go through with it because they can't guarantee anything at the other end. It would be so much simpler if it was just Wes and Angela, wouldn't it? But the whole thing is completely ridiculously complicated. And also, I think we are in danger of being in the Westminster bubble here, because, honestly, I think a lot of GB News viewers must be holding their heads in their hands, just saying all we want is some simple change and not all this nonsense for the next several weeks or months, or a by-election in mid-June for Andy at the earliest. You know,
because the leadership contest will go on for months, won't it?
Well, presumably so, yeah, 2 to 3 months or so. And, of course, we should remember that, unlike, you know, the Tory system, you know, this is very much going to have Keir Starmer on the ballot, and so potentially you could have 3 candidates, and you can very much see, because it's preferential voting, so you reckon 1, 2, 3, you could see a world in which Keir Starmer very much gets through this challenge, and then what happens? The party dusts itself off, pretend that the last 3 weeks didn't happen, and it carries on as he is.
And then without his health secretary, Wes Streeting, he's actually done quite a good job. So if he carries on, then he's lost a key player.
And I would argue that if the Prime Minister does survive, his lack of politics, which has exposed itself in successive crises now, will again come to the fore. And, you know, speaking to Labour activists last week, they said he can never fight another election because he's a terrible campaigner.
Well, what did you make, though, of yesterday in Parliament? Because actually, Keir Starmer, it was like the most relaxed, the best performance I've ever seen him give.
I have to say, where was this Keir Starmer all along? I suppose it's because he knew his goose was cooked, and so suddenly he just relaxed a bit.
He was cracking jokes.
Yeah,
he was so relaxed.
He was pretty unfazed by Kemi. I think Wes was more fazed by Kemi than Keir Starmer was. So maybe he just needs to channel that if he makes it through.
I always think it's interesting at the death of a Prime Minister, kind of what it says about them. You know, when Gordon Brown walked out with his sons, we'd never seen before, Theresa May burst into tears. I think that what we're seeing is a couple of things, one of which is Keir Starmer's tenacity, but also his relaxed demeanour which he has around friends and people who he sees in private, and that is why he got the premiership in some ways.
But if we'd have seen more of that, and if we'd seen more of the backbone which we're seeing now, which is I'm not going anywhere, then perhaps we wouldn't be in this mess.
I completely agree, but he is just someone who is unable to get that across. It's almost like the cameras come up and the shutters come down. And I've seen it with repeated politicians, and I think that the tragedy of Keir Starmer partly is that he had some idea of what he wanted to do, but no idea about politics and how to put it into practice.
Yeah, they can't perform. And actually, the bottom line is, and whether you say it's the politics of your popular politics and all that, but you've got to be able to perform.
You've got to be able to communicate as well. I mean, that's why Wes is so appealing, because he can just communicate. And actually, Kemi these days is really good.
She's got
and for
so
years,
much better.
For years now, we've heard friends of Keir Starmer say, oh, honestly, he's not like this amongst friends. He's so cool and normal, relaxed amongst friends. And we've only now just got the glimpse of it, now in his final days, possibly.
Is it too little, too late? Potentially, especially if Wes Streeting goes today.
Yeah, possibly. All right, you two. It's been a joy.
Thank you very much
indeed. Good to see you.
Thank you. For now, let's get a check on the weather with Annie Shuttleworth.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that will be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards Northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some sunshine here and there. You can see some gaps between the showers, but the brighter colours show that they could be quite heavy if you do get caught in one. Those showers do tend to die away into the evening, though, with clearer skies developing quite widely, particularly across western areas. It's the northwest that will be the chilliest overnight tonight. Meanwhile, across the east, we've got an area of low pressure bringing more in the way of rain and cloud to eastern coast. So slightly milder here, quite a lot of cloud around, but still a cold northerly wind coming down the North Sea here. So for Friday, I think for most of us it's going to be a drier day with high pressure coming in just for a time. So that means fewer showers, not entirely dry. You can see there's still a few showers here and there, particularly across the south coast later in the day. And across the east, it will still feel chilly with that northerly wind persisting into the afternoon. So temperatures here closer to 10 or 11 degrees. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Warm and cosy, with a chance of zero visibility. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Thank you, Britain, for the thousands of you who are becoming friends of GB News each and every week.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. An accident on the A47 northbound causes delays. On Sunderland's A19, a serious collision has closed one lane with 40-minute delays, normalising after 10:30. The M6 northbound in Staffordshire is closed between junctions 14 and 15 due to a major crash, resulting in 3-hour delays. The A45 westbound in Northamptonshire sees delays of 90 minutes, while Gloucestershire's A40 eastbound faces 20-minute delays. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway buses replace trains from Barton-on-Humber to Cleethorpes, with disruption on London Overground. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Are you dreaming of a ton of tax-free cash this summer? We want to make that dream come true with a stunning £76,543 and 21 pence in cash to spend however you like. Put a new car on the drive or just relax in the knowledge that this year we've got your back. For a chance to win, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline.
Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Oh, the breaking news this morning, and Angela Rayner has welcomed HMRC's decision to clear her over her stamp duty bill, but the Shadow Chancellor isn't so easily sold.
I think probably good news for Angela Rayner, but I think most people will still be curious as to how somebody who was formerly the Housing Secretary managed to end up in a position where she failed to pay £40,000 worth of tax on a property purchase.
Well, now there are already rumours that she's planning to launch her own leadership challenge, but the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray, shut this down earlier on the programme.
Well, I think she also said to The Guardian that she wouldn't be triggering a contest, so that's clear that she is not going to get involved in triggering that.
Well, all of this just hours before Wes Streeting is expected to ignite a day of Labour anarchy by resigning at some point today and launching his own bid. But as the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, put it, shouldn't he just get on with his job?
But then I suppose the Health Secretary has been a bit distracted lately, hasn't he? Yeah, hasn't he? Yeah. He's chuntering now. Why don't you just do your job? Do your job. Speech. There's no point in him giving me dirty looks. We all know what he's been up to. We all know.
Well, that's what Kemi Badenoch thinks, but what do Wes Streeting's constituents think? Do they think he would make a good Prime Minister or not? I'm in Ilford North, finding out.
Well, Wes Streeting is not the only one eyeing up number 10. Andy Burnham, Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband could all throw their hats in the ring.
So it is all to play for, and yet, in some respects, the government seems to be in denial.
On what, sorry? No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party.
Yes, here on Downing Street, the Chancellor has warned MPs against plunging the country into chaos. But Angela Rayner has been cleared of by the HMRC, and Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, still looks set to resign and challenge the Prime Minister.
Good morning. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today. The showers could be quite heavy. They bring a risk of hail and thunder. I'll have all the details for you a little later on.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Well, it's sort of all kicked off today before anything's really happened. Lots hanging in the balance for you this Thursday. Angela Rayner has this morning welcomed HMRC's decision to clear her of any wrongdoing over her tax affairs, just hours before the Health Secretary is expected to resign from Cabinet and launch his leadership bid.
But the government seems to be in denial over the potential leadership challenge.
No, there's been no leadership election has been triggered. And look, I think having a leadership election would be the wrong choice for us to take as a party. And let me tell you why I think that. You know, I think it would bring huge instability and it would mean that we would be looking inward as a party.
Well, meanwhile, Stanley Johnson, father of former Prime Minister Boris, warned that constantly changing leaders is destabilising.
I saw what total damage the Tory party did to itself when it got rid of Boris. As far as I could see, it was a kind of ruthless assassination. And actually, the Tory party just did not recover for a very long time. Now, you could say, as a Conservative supporter, why would I worry if the Labour Party disintegrates as a result of this? Well, I think that this sort of situation, you have to say, actually, party doesn't come first. Country comes first.
Well, let's cross now to GB News chief political correspondent Catherine Forster, who is live on Downing Street for us. A very cold Downing Street. Thank you so much, Catherine, for standing there for the past 4 days for us. 24 hours on now from that fleeting streeting meeting, as it's being dubbed. And we're now on resignation watch.
Hasn't been enough for voters to see.
Yes, we are, and it feels in some ways very familiar because we've been here before. We've cycled through 5 prime ministers in the last 7 years. Could we be moving on to number 6? But it's very strange indeed in the sense that the Labour Party doesn't do this. This is what the Conservatives do. This is what Labour got elected, promising to stop the chaos, stop the infighting, calm, competent government. That's what we were told. And yet, there is clearly now a civil war breaking out. Labour has never challenged a sitting Prime Minister, but it seems now pretty much inevitable that the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, is likely to resign and to challenge the Prime Minister for the leadership. He needs 81 MPs behind him. His allies say that he has those. And now today, of course, the big news that the former Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, has finished the investigation with the HMRC, who have cleared her of deliberate wrongdoing or carelessness. She has settled that £40,000 tax bill that was unpaid stamp duty for a flat that she bought in Hove. She hasn't had to pay any penalty. She said that she feels very bruised, that she worried that people might think she was just in it for herself like so many other politicians. But she is potentially willing to play her part. She has apparently told MPs that she wouldn't want to stand against the Prime Minister. But look, if Wes Streeting goes, there is no way that the left of the party are not going to put forward a candidate. It could be Angela Rayner, it could be the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband. It could potentially even be the Mayor of Greater Manchester, Andy Burnham. The problem with that, of course, is he doesn't currently have a seat. We keep hearing that somebody may be preparing to step down for him. At the moment, the current name is Afzal Khan, the Manchester Rusholme MP, a great ally of Andy Burnham's. But we don't know that. Even if he did, we don't know if Andy Burnham would be allowed to stand. Even if he was, and even if the timing of this leadership election allowed him to potentially run, we don't know that he would win, because at the moment the Greens are favourite in this seat. So it feels like the chaos that the Labour Party promised would end is very much back. Number 10, keeping calm and carrying on. The Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, urging MPs not to plunge the country into chaos. Growth figures out this morning of 0.6%. Her argument is, we're getting growth, we've got stability, do not put that at risk. But will Labour MPs listen?
OK, Catherine, thank you very much indeed. Well, a lot is hanging on what Wes Streeting does today. He's the Health Secretary, he's also the MP for Ilford North, and if anything is going to happen, is going to have to be triggered by him today, so it would seem. Well, Will Godley is in his constituency. I mean, one that he holds with a wafer-thin majority, Will. It's all a gamble.
Absolutely, Stephen, Ellie, good morning to you from Ilford North. This is where Wes Streeting has been MP since 2015, but in that last general election back in 2024, when the Labour Party saw that landslide majority and a huge victory for them, Wes Streeting only had a wafer-thin, Stephen, as you say, a wafer-thin majority, 528-seat majority. Now, if he's going to mount a leadership challenge, he'll be hoping for far more support than that. But of course, his allies say he's ready to resign, and that leadership challenge could come as soon as today. But he needs the support of at least 81 Labour MPs in order to do that, and he'll be jostling for support with some other candidates as well. Reportedly, Ed Miliband says he's going to throw his hat into the ring as well. And this morning, Angela Rayner has said she's been exonerated by the HMRC of any tax wrongdoings. Could she throw her hat hat into the ring. Well, if she does, they'll have Wes Streeting to keep them company in any leadership race. But what does the Prime Minister say in all of this? Well, he says a leadership contest would throw the party into chaos. He's also said he's got his full confidence in Wes Streeting as Health Secretary. But here in Ilford North, do his constituents have full confidence in Wes Streeting that he'd make a good Prime Minister?
I do think he would make a good Prime Minister, but I'm just think he's been a little bit backhanded because he said he wasn't interested in the job previously.
To be honest with you, I think he's the least bad option.
I don't think he's got the experience. And, you know, what makes him think that he's better than Keir Starmer?
I don't think he'd do it properly. I don't think he'd listen to the people of this country.
Well, I would like the current Prime Minister to be on the job because I don't want a general election now and I don't want any other person really.
I think if Keir Starmer was disastrous, it's difficult to go beyond disastrous as far as bad is concerned. But I think when you look that up in the dictionary, it's got Wes Streeting by the name.
Well, the thoughts of some in Wes Streeting's constituency here in Ilford North. Of course, won by Wes Streeting, but by a very slim majority. In fact, one person who I spoke to yesterday didn't want to be on camera, even questioned whether Wes Streeting would be able to win this seat again in any upcoming election. So if he is to become Prime Minister, perhaps it won't be for very long if there is to be a general election. Wes Streeting, though, would point to the fact that he helped in the local elections campaigning here, and Redbridge stayed in Labour hold, although the council Labour did lose 15 seats to Independents and Greens here, so perhaps Labour support here is falling. Not good news to Wes Streeting, but he feels he's the man who can turn things around for the party.
OK, Will Godley there for us in Ilford North. Thank you so much.
What a day.
What a day. And it hasn't even begun yet. Hasn't even kicked off.
And we don't know when it's going to start. We don't actually know if it will actually happen. It all depends on whether Wes Streeting has got those numbers. He needs 80 MPs, plus himself, to get this going. Has he got the numbers?
But if it wasn't going to happen, it would have been flatly denied by his team. Because he likes his job as health sec, doesn't he? We all know that.
He does.
And he's been making good progress. It hasn't been. It's all over the front pages. It's been out there for almost 24 hours now that he would resign today. So all eyes now on Wes Streeting and what he chooses to do this morning. And if he does go, that's it. Leadership challenge.
It's all underway. And then everyone else will rally in very quickly behind. Will we see this desperate push from Andy Burnham to try and get back into Westminster? Will we see Angela Rayner throw a hat into the ring? Ed Miliband? What about Yvette Cooper? It's a possibility. She was Home Secretary, now she's Foreign Secretary. Would she like to try and get into number 10? I bet she would.
Al Carnes is being mooted in lots of places.
Al Carnes, who's a Defence Minister. A lot of people don't know of him. But could that be an advantage? David Cameron got the leadership of the Tory party with... and people didn't really know who he was at the time. He was very much sort of new and under the radar.
He's done what, 5 tours of Afghanistan? I think I read this morning.
Al Carnes, yeah, he's done a lot.
So he's certainly a leader in that sense.
Special Forces, Brigadier, someone who knows how to lead. Maybe that's what is needed now. I'm sure you've got your thoughts. But in the meantime, of course, as all this is unfolding, we're going to have full coverage throughout the day. So we'll chat to Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates to find out what they think and what's going to be in their show in a moment.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News. Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Welcome back to Breakfast. It's 16 minutes past 9. Britain's newsroom coming up at 9:30. Andrew Pearce and Miriam Casey here to tell us all about it, and it could all happen.
What are you talking about in your show?
Well, you know, bit of weather, bit of sport. No.
We're really hoping that Streeting announces during the programme.
Do you think he will? Do you think he's going to go today?
I do. I think he has to, because otherwise he was very bruised by headlines, including one I wrote. Is this his Michael Portillo moment? Bottling it. Do you remember Portillo in 95?
Yeah.
He even got phone lines plugged into a house in Lord North Street in Westminster, but pulled back.
And that was never recovered.
No, he did not.
But of course, the big question is, does he have the 81 names? And it's quite possible over previous weeks, 100 or so MPs have told him, yes, I'll give you my name if the time arises. And now perhaps they're not so keen to go public. Perhaps his sheet has fallen.
But if he does have the 81 names, then that's got to mean we've got a lot more names on that list than the 83, 86 who've announced so far, because they're not all going to...
No, but he does have a lot of supporters in government, ministers and cabinet ministers, who could obviously only support him by resigning, which is a big deal for them. And perhaps the ministers that have resigned so far, Alex Davis-Jones, Jess Phillips, perhaps they've been promised jobs by West Streeting.
And they are close friends of West Streeting, aren't they? But wasn't it President Lyndon Johnson who said the most important rule in politics is to learn how to count? Do you think he's counted correctly?
I'm sure he has. But I think the fascinating thing is how Angela Rayner has stolen his thunder today. She knew on Tuesday that she'd been cleared by HMRC, and she's announced it today. In the morning, nice and early, to completely overshadow West Streeting, because she will definitely, if nobody else on the soft left throws the hat in the ring, she will. She said she'd rather put matchsticks in her eyes than allow West Streeting to run unchallenged for leadership. There is no love lost there at all.
But I mean, I know she's also said in the piece in The Guardian this morning that she wouldn't trigger it.
She's waiting for Mr. Streeting to trigger it.
But what if he doesn't do it? If he doesn't do it, would she?
Well, then maybe they get the stalking horse, the Catherine West idea. And what happened to her? Do you remember that at the beginning of the week?
She was slightly disorganised and had a few typos.
She seemed a bit confused by the process, didn't she?
Of course, we also need to watch Andy Burnham.
Yeah.
There are rumours that an MP, Afzal Khan, might be willing to stand down for him.
He's publicly denied it.
Oh, must be true then.
He's got a majority of 8,500.
Yeah.
But Burnham is very popular in the Manchester region. He could win where other Labour MPs can't. But even so, the timings are up to the government. When would a by-election be allowed?
It's a heck of a gamble.
It is.
It's a heck of a gamble, because it could end up losing the seat that's given up could go another colour. As could the Greater Manchester Mayor.
Well, I think it almost certainly would, because we'd be so furious that he'd backed down on his commitment to serve a 4-year term.
I think Starmer could still survive.
Do you?
If Streeting is the only challenger, then I think Starmer will win.
I'd put money on Starmer.
Absolutely, I think.
But he's not. But he won't be the only challenger.
Yes, he may not be the only. It could be Ed Miliband. But of course, we've got to look at the markets. Andy Burnham famously said that we shouldn't be in hock to the markets, but we are so indebted. And news this morning that some big investors are pulling out of UK gilts because it's just too risky amid the turmoil. So we could actually start to see some pretty significant economic consequences.
What do we think of what the Chancellor said today when she's gone into Downing Street saying that your MPs have got an important decision to make today, which is interesting. But she talks about how the economy's been strong and it's all down to her. She's going to say that, right? But then she says, we shouldn't put that at risk. But is she saying, come what may, I need to stay on as Chancellor?
Well, that's what she's saying. I've written in the Mail today that she's hoping if Streeting wins, she's Foreign Secretary. She's a mate of Streeting's.
Foreign Secretary?
Yeah. She won't stand as Chancellor. She can't stand as Chancellor. She's discredited. Most of Labour's problems have been on her watch. Winter fuel, botched attempts to cut the welfare bill, national insurance rises, which have crippled the hospitality industry.
Except the one thing she has done is kept to the fiscal rules, and we can argue whether or not they're any good, but the markets do want somebody who's going to stick to those rules, and the fear amongst the markets is that a more left-wing Prime Minister would appoint a more left-wing Chancellor who would abandon those rules, and then that really would be crisis time.
But the markets like stability, don't they? They've got a leadership contest. That could go on for, what, 2-3 months?
Yeah, someone said to me last night, 10 weeks.
So the country would be in limbo?
And, of course, Andy Burnham wants it to be as long as possible to give him time to find a seat and to get in and to win the by-election.
But the country can't wait for Andy Burnham.
Is that putting country before party?
Certainly not putting country before party. It's putting party before country. The losers here are all of us, everybody watching, because government's just not going to happen.
Do you remember they were elected to stop the chaos?
Do you know how many times they said they would stop the chaos in the Labour manifesto?
Oh, go on.
How many?
38 times, I counted. 38 times. I think that's 38 broken promises.
The treatment of Angela Rayner is also quite interesting. I mean, I think most Labour MPs do not want her to become Prime Minister. She's very popular as a person, but I think it seems increasingly clear she's probably not up to the job. But, of course, she was hounded out as the Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary because of this tax affair. She's now been exonerated. It was a mistake. Lots of people make mistakes on their tax returns. She's not been fined even for being careless. She's just paid her bill. Some people are looking a bit silly now. Yes, but if you remember, Stephen, it was an incredibly complicated affair because of a trust fund, and many tax experts came out at the time and said they weren't aware of this rule. So it wasn't a run-of-the-mill, you haven't paid enough on your income tax. It was a very complicated thing. So I think, perhaps things would have been very different had she not been sacked at that time. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe Starmer's regretting that.
Possibly.
And she's gunning for Starmer.
Yeah. Clearly. Yeah, our Ange has gone out the window, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's a very cynical write-up in the Telegraph. I just saw that saying that it's a miracle for the Labour left, or this miraculous intervention by HMRC on the day that Wes Streeting decides to go over the top.
On that Tuesday, when everybody is resigning, and we have the fraught cabinet meeting where Wes Streeting and others try and speak to him afterwards, and that's when she got the nod from HMRC. You're in the clear.
Yeah. It is interesting. What about Yvette Cooper?
As a potential leadership?
I saw one commentator, I need to spat my tea out, but calling her, a really steady pair of hands.
Is that what we want?
She's a lot more experienced than most Labour cabinet ministers.
Well, she's experienced, but she had, 14 years, the best part of 14 years as Shadow Home, and then came...
She was in Blair's cabinet.
She was in Brown's cabinet.
Brown's cabinet.
Messed the job up.
She's too dull.
Well, it doesn't look like they're going to get a woman, does it, again? Well, that's all coming up with us after your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to your latest GB News weather update brought to you from the Met Office. Another day of sunshine and showers to come today, though the sunshine is going to be fairly limited, unfortunately, and so it's going to feel quite cool again for the time of year. We've got a brisk northerly wind that will be pushing through those showers. Some of these could be fairly slow moving across more southern areas. They bring a risk of hail, lightning as well as thunder, so do take care if you're travelling. They may bring quite a lot of rain in a short space of time. So with that northerly wind, it will feel much colder than these temperatures suggest, for many of us feeling much more like single figures, which is a little bit below par for the time of year. And that chilly theme will continue through the rest of this week, though this evening the showers will tend to slowly die away and the winds will ease. But still, we can expect some quite frequent showers around rush hour across parts of Scotland, all the way down towards Northern England as well. Northern Ireland starting to see that drier weather moving in, so perhaps a brighter start to end to the day for these areas. Still some